He's got that map. If it's not there about, it's getting unwrapped. So drop your questions, drop your doubts. Steve's here sorting all the truth from the cloud. No panic, no spin, no agenda to flatter. Just one simple rule: facts still matter. Facts still matter. Say it louder, say it louder. Truth cuts through all the noise, that's power. Steve's in the chat with the real-time data. Drop that spin, we'll fact check it later. Facts still matter, yeah, we're keeping receipts. Headlines fine, but we repass the tweets. If it's news, if it's now, Steve breaks it down. Cause the truth hits different when the facts come out.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Tuesday, February the 17th, 2026. We're so glad you're here. We know you got many choices to make every single day, and we're super grateful you choose to spend some time with us, so thank you. You know the drill. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. Please consider joining our team. That helps you, that helps us, helps push us to the FYP. Don't forget about the gifting goals that are up there today. Please consider participating in those. We are still marching towards raising funds for our Do Something tour. This is the tracker. This is up to date. We are marching towards a 25K goal. I've got some updates on the Do Something tour for you in a little while, so please engage there. If you are interested in some information, you can join our Discord. Please do that anyway. You find the link in the link tree that's in my bio. If you go to, once you're in the Discord, first of all, if the link doesn't work for some reason, it works for some people, it doesn't work for others. If it doesn't work, you can copy the link, put it in a browser, and that should open it. Or you can reach out to one of our amazing moderators. Hearts in the chat for my mods, please. Hearts in the chat. Thank you. Once you're in the Discord, you can find the announcements section. And under that is Do Something. We'll give you some more information, or we'll use that to kind of keep you updated. You can also find the link to the Do Something to our Instagram page that's in the link tree in my bio. Please follow us there. We'll probably be using that as a significant source of information. Also, check out the new Do Something merch that's in the merch store. I think it's pretty cool. Thank you to people who've submitted their ideas for that, and thank you to Sam for putting that together. More to come on that. So thank you for being here. Did I just lose my mic again? No, I think we're good. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. We appreciate you. Kind of a lot to cover off on today. I want to start with a few things. I just want to level set it a couple things because this is the topic. It's funny. I got a few DMs yesterday because I was pretty targeted in my criticism of people on the left. Tough shit. Get over it. This is the plan here, right? I want to remind people what we are talking about, that there are tens of millions of Americans that will continue to support this administration. We know who these people are. And people on the left still trying to figure out ways to not support whomever the candidate is. So get over yourself. I'm serious. Get over yourself. First of all, making any kind of predictions at this point in time when we're 2 years out from Election Day, thank you, Swishy Raiders. We want a primary. We want to hear voices. We may not even know the names of everybody that's going to be involved yet. So just get over yourself. Please. I'm so tired of the purity test from the left. It's ridiculous. If you don't like that criticism, then you can leave. Seriously, get over it. Have you not learned the lesson? So this is a question to everybody who's looking for the perfect candidate. Can you just put your perfection and your privilege aside and do what's right for your neighbors? We're talking about saving fucking lives here. Okay? Survive today to thrive tomorrow. We good? Thank you. I appreciate that. All right. So there's a little bit more information that came out. The Department of Justice sent a letter to Congress yesterday, part of what they were supposed to do, because it is day 60 of the Department of Justice and the Donald Trump administration breaking federal law. I still hear the excuses. It's fucking wild. But there was a letter that was sent to Congress yesterday. I don't know if we'll have the details of that, but they were trying to explain in their letter about the redactions, why certain things were redacted. And we know that it's a cover up. Again, we know that there are credible allegations now against Donald Trump, et cetera. One of the things I'm going to get to a little bit later this morning is Alex Acosta. I don't know if people have covered that story enough. Well, I went down some fucking rabbit holes, and it's mind-boggling to me how this person has not faced charges for what's obviously blatant corruption. We'll talk about that because that's a wild story. And like I say often, please support independent journalists. A lot of the information that we have that never would have come out, we can thank Miami Herald reporter Julie K. Brown for. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to unpack the non-prosecution agreement again. We're gonna just again pull on a few threads. First, I wanna play a little bit of sound. We didn't get to it yesterday, just from the Sunday shows. People, in the administration going out and doing what they do. Tom Homan, of course, has replaced Greg Bovino, and according to the president, is reporting directly to the president, thus bypassing Kristi Noem. So he was on Face the Nation, and he's asked that question, and I've got more to the story after you hear from him. So everybody keep tapping and sharing, please. Don't forget about our gift and goal. Don't forget about supporting the channel. You can do so at Factsstillmatter. All Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. We are in the process of making some decisions regarding a GoFundMe for the program, but anyway, more to come on that. So here's Tom Homan on Face the Nation.
A Wall Street Journal report published in recent days, I'm sure you've seen it, details widespread concerns with the leadership of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and her chief advisor, Corey Lewandowski. The report says you rarely speak with the secretary or Lewandowski, despite the fact that you oversee immigration issues as well from the White House perspective, and that you've repeatedly complained to the White House about them. What is your concern with Secretary Noem and Corey Lewandowski?
Look, it's one team, one fight. I'm not playing in that, media. They're trying to divide this administration. They want to attack the men and women who work in this administration. Look, do me and Secretary Noem agree on everything? No. That's why we have discussions. That's why every day we have a multi-agency conference call and meeting, and we discuss going forward. And we have different opinions. Well, those different opinions are worked out, and we move forward. The bottom line is, we have the most secure border in the history of this nation. We got record numbers of criminal aliens arrested and deported in this country because this is one team, one fight. The results speak for themselves.
But you don't dispute you've had disagreements with them at times, even if they've been resolved?
I have a disagreement with we got many federal agencies, and it's not a out of control disagreement.
What?
I want to do it this way. Someone wants to do it this way. Then we talk about, well, what works best in this situation. We all come to agreement in the end.
What?
But it's a discussion of different ideas. I've been doing this for 40 years. We have the Rodney Scott that runs CBP. He's been doing it for 30 years. So we all come to the table. We come up with different ideas, but we settle on a mission. And I think the results of this mission speaks for themselves. Again, the most secure border in history of this nation, because of our collaboration and record numbers of criminal aliens being arrested and deported.
Really?
The results speak for themselves.
The results actually don't speak for themselves, Tom. You can barely speak. Never mind the results. What he's referring to, in case you don't know the story, apparently there's a little mile high clubbing going on. Not judging, do what you do, but there's long been rumors about a relationship between Corey Lewandowski and Kristi Noem. Both, by the way, are married. Again, consulting adults, you do your own thing. So the Wall Street Journal, what he was referring to, the journalist who was questioning Mr. Homan, the story is this: a pilot fired over Kristi Noem's missing blanket and the constant chaos inside of DHS. By the way, we're gonna touch on the tragedy that happened in Rhode Island yesterday, and we're also going to talk about the passing of Jesse Jackson. We'll get into that in just a moment. Secretary with close advisor Corey Lewandowski faces fire for confrontational immigration crackdown in self-promotional style. White House to wind down Minnesota operations. First of all, things are not really winding down in Minnesota. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, because if the issue was waste, fraud, and abuse, then we got to talk about the My Pillow guy. We'll get into that in just a moment. Kristi Noem knew she needed a rest. It was 2 days after federal agents had shot and unalived Alex Preddy, and Noem was facing fire from all sides. Even some inside the administration were pushing the president to remove her from her position for handling of the chaotic immigration enforcement operation in Minneapolis, and comments she'd made saying Preddy committed an act of domestic terrorism. So Noem's top advisor, Corey Lewandowski, aka her side piece, messaged Trump's pollster with a request. They needed to cut an ad to help her, according to two people familiar with the episode. The pollster, Tony Fabrizio, who worked on Trump's 2024 re-election campaign, ignored the entity, and the people said. Throughout her tenure as the Secretary of Homeland Security, a sprawling agency charged with carrying out Trump's central campaign promise of mass deportation, Noem has attempted to burnish her personal stardom at every turn. Yeah, no shit. With Lewandowski, Trump's former campaign manager at her side, she has staged a headline-grabbing immigration crackdown while sidelining rivals and dissenters. She's carried out confrontational operations over the objective of longtime immigration officials who warned such flashy displays would discredit the department's ultimate mission, according to 24 current and former administration officials. Instead, she's made the case that her approach would lead to more arrests as well as induce more people to leave on their own. The story is such that there's in an attempt to kind of, I don't know, make her image better. She has kind of brought in Corey Lewandowski a little bit closer, if you know what I mean. Within DHS, Homan Lewandowski frequently berate senior staffs, force them to take polygraph tests. They don't trust and have fired employees. In one incident, Lewandowski fired a U.S. Coast Guard pilot after Noam's blanket was left behind on a plane, according to people familiar with the incident. Simmering criticism over the past year for Noam's policies and publicity moves exploded in Minneapolis, jeopardizing her grip over DHS and putting her standing with Trump on thin ice. Though some in Trump's inner circle have tried to persuade the president to fire Noam and Lewandowski, according to administration officials, he has so far resisted, saying publicly he has no plans to dismiss her. Lawmakers from both parties have been critical, and Democrats in Congress are demanding changes to the department, threatening to withhold DHS funding, which we know has happened. Eventually, the president put White House border czar Tom Homan in charge, as we know. Noam and Lewandowski have embarked on a rehabilitation tour. The pair worked to hastily solidify their relationship with the president, successfully requesting an Oval Office meeting with Trump 2 days after the Petty shooting. Noam's team quickly scheduled a series of press conferences on other matters, including an event highlighting airport security in Miami and an announcement about the border wall in Arizona. Days after Petty's shooting, the pair were spotted sitting together at the Mar-a-Lago wedding of Dan Scavino, a longtime political advisor to Trump, and the president also attended the wedding. Noam and Lewandowski mingled with top administration officials at the reception. A DHS spokeswoman said Noam serves at the pleasure of the president and has successfully clamped down on inefficiencies to save billions of dollars, calling her efforts a roaring success. She said all officials are on the same page and in agreement on the president's immigration crackdown. Noam and Lewandowski's close relationships had made Trump and his top advisors uncomfortable. Lewandowski had initially wanted to formally serve as Noam's chief of staff, but Trump rejected the idea due to reports of a romantic relationship between the two, which he has continued to bring up, officials say. After photos in the Daily Mail showed Lewandowski going back and forth between his apartment and Noam's across the street last year, the secretary moved into a government-owned waterfront house on a military base in Washington that is provided to the leader of the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard falls under Noam's purview at DHS. During peacetime, Lewandowski also spends time at the house. Lewandowski and Noam, both who are married, have publicly denied the reports of an affair, but people said they do little to hide their relationship inside the department. DHS spokeswoman said the department, quote, doesn't waste time with salacious, baseless gossip. The pair have lately been using a luxury 737 MAX jet with a private cabin in the back for their travel around the country, according to people familiar with the matter. DHS is leasing the plane, but in the process of acquiring it for approximately $70 million. DHS has previously used other planes for the Coast Guard or other agencies for the Secretary's use. I mean, listen, like I said, you're two adults. You're two adults. I know the music's loud. I want it to be. You're two adults. That was my point. We paid for their affair. That's exactly my point. So I don't know if it's necessarily judge how you wish. Seriously, judge how you wish, but I think it seems like they're obviously not hiding it. They are two adults. They can do their own thing, whatever the case, but this is so the Mile High Club and the 737 MAX is being paid for on our dime. Don't forget, additional planes were needed to purchase because Christie apparently needed another place for high altitude banging, her chief of staff. The purchase would be double the cost of each of the 7 other commercial planes used by the department. The DHS spokeswoman said that the plane was used for both deportations and cabinet level travel, said it was cheaper than military aircraft for deportations and saved American taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, sure. Okay, you can stick with that story. Anyway, my point in this story is that Kristi Noem, it goes back and forth to me as to who the least competent or the most incompetent secretary is. And I think it's got to go down. What is my background? It's the left uniting. It's just a ring of hands. Thanks for asking. Long story short, again, this is what this department is. Now we're talking about affairs. Again, like I said, adults, consenting adults, you're married, you do your thing. Good luck with that. My point is, every single thing points to Kristi Noem using taxpayer dollars to get her rocks off at 36,000 feet, maybe. Ew. But more importantly, that is your priority now, making sure that you're firing airport Coast Guard pilots because you left your binky on board? I don't know if I'd want to pick up that blanket. I'm just saying. But here we are. So speaking of ICE and DHS, there's some new reporting about how 2 officers that were involved in a shooting may have lied. Here's the story.
Can we also talk about what we were talking about a moment ago, or at the top of the 2 p.m. hour, regarding the other court cases in Minnesota? We mentioned the one where ICE officers had said that they felt threatened by a couple men with a broom and a shovel, and that's why they ended up shooting one of them, and it was in the leg. He survived. The top prosecutor in Minnesota asked a judge to dismiss the charges against these men, saying the evidence that ICE provided didn't line up with the facts.
We are seeing a pattern. The pattern is the narrative out front and the facts come later. The initial government narrative was that violent agitators attacked the government agent with a shovel and a broom. Kristi Noem then doubled down on that narrative and accused the individuals, 2 individuals on January 14th, of trying to kill the agent. That has subsequently been walked back in court, and today ICE Director Todd Lyons said in a release statement that those 2 officers involved in the January 14th Chase shooting incident appear to have lied under oath and are being investigated by the Department of Justice. This is, again, after DHS and Kristi Noem had doubled down on their completely, it seems, fabricated, lying version of what had happened.
So think about it, right? This story goes, it's circular. So when Kristi Noem and J.D. Vance and the president and others came out with these statements claiming that both Renee Good and Alex Preddy were domestic terrorists, right? So they made that determination. Kristi Noem, in trying to defend herself, tossed agents under the bus. She said she got a field report from them that they were domestic terrorists. Under what conditions, right? So the way that this administration has approached this is they've decided to deem anyone they like as domestic terrorists. So, MAGA, listen up. So when we have the next Democrat president, what will happen is that we will deem whatever we see fit as a domestic terrorist. If you have a red hat, you are a domestic terrorist. If you have a Trump flag flying in your broken down truck, you are a domestic terrorist. If you have truck nuts, you are definitely a domestic terrorist. If you listen to Kid Rock and Ted Nugent, you're a domestic terrorist, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Long story, if true, if you have truck nuts, good point. Long story short, these agents lied. Kristi Noem took that information, also lied. These agents lied. Anybody want to say anything about that? Probably not. Okay, that's fine though. Just a little bit more because Todd Lyons has been questioned recently. Here is his testimony, and this is very interesting because he's scrambling a little bit to try to justify some of what's been happening in Minneapolis, and attempt to try to cast blame on someone else. Shocker, this administration not wanting to take any responsibility for anything. Everybody keep tapping, please.
So many times. I'll give you the example of Aurora, Colorado.
It's actually Colorado, but that's not what we're fact-checking. When acting ICE Director Todd Lyons testified in front of Congress Thursday, he made this claim about the February 2025 ICE operation in Aurora.
We were going to serve a criminal warrant on an apartment complex of known TDA gang members that was full. We tried to work with the state and local government. They made notifications that the operation was ongoing. So when tactical teams arrived, protesters were already there and the apartment complex was empty.
ICE social media accounts amplified Lyons' comments to Congress.
Shocker.
Here is the post that ended with, local law enforcement made a public notification of our presence, a decision that could have cost American lives. After we reached out to ICE asking questions about the claim in this post and Lyons' testimony, the social posts were deleted. This morning, we asked ICE and the Department of Homeland Security why they deleted them and which law enforcement they believe leaked the operation. This evening, we still do not have an answer. When we reached out to the city of Aurora about the claim, we got a statement saying the city, including the Aurora Police Department, was not and has not been involved in the development and activation of any federal immigration enforcement plans in Aurora. Perhaps the reason why the Aurora apartment complex, where members of Tren de Aragua were known to live, was empty? On January 24th, 2025, the city of Aurora posted a court-ordered emergency closure of the apartments, letting residents know they needed to be out by February 18th. ICE showed up February 5th. The only evidence we can find that could have tipped off that ICE was coming did not come from local law enforcement. It came from the U.S. government 1 week before the operation in the Denver metro area.
U.S. Northcom says as of yesterday, ICE will be able to stage and process people here at Buckley Space Force Base. They say.
So, are you kidding me? They lied again? Wow. You've got agents on the ground lying. You've got the secretary lying. You've got the former freaking Yahtzee, Greg, whatever his name was, Bavino, whoever the fuck he is, lying. You got Todd Lyons lying. You got Corey Lewandowski caught up into this shit. Shocker. Shocker. I mean, their own investigations proving themselves to be liars. Okay. That's fine. Nothing to see here. I just think that story of Kristi Noem, don't forget, she funneled money from taxpayer dollars, again, your taxes, MAGA, taxpayer dollars to an agency connected to her friends of hers to produce that video of her cosplaying, riding her little horsey at Mount Rushmore and other places. That was set up by Corey Lewandowski, her side piece. Again, two consenting adults. You want to have an affair? You knock yourself out. You're married. I'm glad that you really support those, traditional family values, because what's a little adultery between people who claim to be Christian? Yeah, no big whoop, right? Or sorry, that's right. We're all just sinners. Got it. So these things in and of themselves, think about this, right? If it was something like that under normal conditions, where there was rumors of a salacious affair with a blanket and a Coast Guard pilot and an apartment or a house that happens to be across the street from the person that you're alleged to be having this affair with, and there's video evidence of them walking back and forth across the street to each other's houses, under normal conditions, that would likely be enough to have a cabinet official removed. But not here. Nope, not in the Trump administration. As long as you're willing to protect the president from being the predator that he is, then you get a seat at the table. Totally fine. Never mind that there's rumors of Trump having an affair with a person in his closest to him, one of his aides. First of all, ew. Let me fix that. I don't know what that is. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you helping us to that goal. Anyway, like I said, in and of itself, that by itself, I should say, would be enough to normally bring down anybody in a cabinet position, but not here. Not here. Okay. I want to talk a little bit now. Like I said, I've got this rabbit hole that I want to go down with you guys. So hang in there this morning. I appreciate you all. Everybody keep tapping and sharing. Don't forget, we're streaming on YouTube, streaming on Twitch. Please consider subscribing to both of those locations, please. I would appreciate you very, very much. So there is a piece of legislation that has been introduced by a Republican, along with Democrats, to control the power of the pardon. Now, I understand congressionally, the presidential pardon power is unlimited. I've always had questions about this. Now, I would like to think this might be something that the right might even be interested in because, of course, they're very critical of Joe Biden. Of course, they like to make claims that Biden pardoned more people than Trump. That's not true. Commuted sentences, yes. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But I want you to listen to this. This is Rep. Johnny Olszewski. Johnny Olszewski is... He's a Democrat, and he was joined by Rep. Don Bacon of Nebraska to introduce this particular piece of legislation. This would require a constitutional amendment. So this is a big deal, but here is Mr. Olszewski introducing this.
I rise today to invite my colleagues. Join me in strengthening two of our nation's key founding principles, checks and balances and the rule of law. Join me in uplifting the idea that every person and institution within a government is subject to the same set of rules. Rules established by, reviewed by, and enforced by three co-equal branches of government. Join me because these principles are under assault. None of us should accept it as normal practice that a president, any president, use their executive pardon power to absolve convicted drug kingpins, those found guilty of violently attacking law enforcement officers, and even a money laundering crypto magnate with ties to the president's family business. Yeah. Yet, this is exactly what President Trump has done. On his first day back in office, President Trump pardoned 1,500 people involved in the January 6th attack on the Capitol. Since then, he's pardoned or commuted the sentences of nearly 90 others. Just recently, he added former Honduran President Juan Orlando Hernandez to that list. Hernandez was serving a 45-year prison sentence for conspiring to smuggle more than 400 tons or 4.5 billion doses of cocaine into the U.S. Hernandez was also convicted of accepting bribes from violent drug cartel members to fuel his political career, shielding them from prosecution in exchange for their bribes. And earlier this year, President Trump granted clemency to a drug dealer responsible for putting more than 1,000 kilograms of cocaine onto Baltimore's streets. A federal agent described the defendant as, quote, one of the largest cocaine and heroin dealers to be arrested by DEA in recent history. President Trump is using the pardon power not to correct injustices, but to absolve convicted criminals simply because he can. He has yet to offer a compelling reason for any of these clemency cases. These abuses are especially pronounced under this administration, but they are certainly not unique to one party.
Correct.
Throughout history, Democratic and Republican presidents have used clemency to reward allies.
This is Rep. Johnny Olszewski, Democrat. He is working with Don Bacon, Republican, to introduce legislation to potentially pass a constitutional amendment that would limit the presidential pardon power
and shield those close to them. After the Civil War, President Johnson issued sweeping pardons for more than 13,000 former Confederates. President Clinton pardoned his half-brother, who was also serving time for drug trafficking.
Correct.
President Biden pardoned his son, who was convicted on gun charges.
Correct.
And who had pleaded guilty to tax-related charges.
Correct.
Some presidents, including Presidents Trump and Biden, have issued preemptive pardons before prosecutors even had a chance to present their case in court and before the public had any opportunity to weigh the facts.
Correct.
It has to stop.
It does.
These abuses erode trust in our democratic system. They undermine the notion that all laws apply to all Americans. They lack the checks and balances envisioned by our nation's founders. They are now far too common and far too brazen. We must do something about it. That's why I'm introducing a straightforward constitutional amendment, one that adds balance and accountability to the pardon system by giving Congress the ability to review and overturn presidential pardons and commutations. Under my proposal, members of Congress could petition for review of pardons and overturn them with a 2/3 supermajority in the House and Senate. This amendment intentionally sets a fairly high standard, The goal is not to eliminate the president's pardon power, but to encourage presidents to think twice before issuing outrageous pardons. Should egregious cases persist, it gives Congress the ability to intervene. As ethically questionable pardons have become increasingly common, it's no surprise that public trust in government is near an all-time low. According to the Partnership for Public Trust, only 1 in 3 Americans have confidence that their elected officials are acting in the public's best interest. 2/3 believe the federal government is corrupt. One way to improve public trust is to stop the most brazen abuses of clemency.
Totally agree.
No more get-out-of-jail-free cards for the wealthy and well-connected. The time to act is now.
Preach.
I ask you to join me in my efforts, and I yield the balance of my time.
Okay, again, that was Rep. Johnny Olszewski, and he's gotten bipartisan support with Rep. Don Bacon. Don Bacon has been a bit of a thorn in the president's side. Let me ask you a question. Is there anybody in here, even Trump supporters, because I see you chirping, you little puppies, would any of you be opposed to having the presidential pardon power checked? Anybody? What would be so wrong with, I've long said this. This is not new for me. I've always thought, why does the president have such unilateral authority? And I get it. It was written into the Constitution. Founding fathers probably didn't have a reason to necessarily think that the pardon power would become what it's become, especially now that he's selling pardons. We know that, right? I have no problem with this at all. Did I like the fact that Joe Biden pardoned his son Hunter? Absolutely not. I understand why he did it. I think as a parent, your son's going to get dragged through the ringer. You know your son's going to be facing indictment after indictment after indictment after indictment. I get it. Still didn't like it. Still didn't like it. Absolutely didn't like it. Now, that's being objective. I would like our friends on the right to acknowledge that it was an absolute criminal action for the President of the United States to pardon January 6th insurrectionist, rioters, traitors. Oh, wait, are they Antifa? So why would he pardon Antifa? Point being, I like this idea. I really do. So I want to talk about this since we're on the pardon topic, and it's been a while since I've looked into this, but actually, before I do that, let me first address the situation that happened in Rhode Island. Overnight or yesterday afternoon at the Dennis M. Lynch Ice Arena in Pawtucket, 3 people lost their lives, including the suspected unaliver, and 3 others were critically injured. Police say the suspect apparently lost their life due to an apparent self-inflicted firearm wound. I will not give the name of the perpetrator. Police believe the violence was targeted and related to a family dispute. Reporters say the shooter came to watch a relative's game and then opened fire in the stands. The victims were adults that were connected to the family dispute. A bystander reportedly tried to intervene, which police say may have prevented further harm. Authorities say there is no ongoing threat to the public. The shooting happened around 2:30 p.m. yesterday during a game attended by students and by families. Witnesses described chaos as people fled or hid in locker rooms after multiple gunshots were heard. Yeah. So, America. Also, I would like to recognize the contributions of Reverend Jesse Jackson. Jesse Jackson passed away yesterday, and to be honest, he was 84. I would have thought he was significantly older than that, to be honest. Reverend Jesse L. Jackson, a protege of Reverend Martin Luther King Jr. and 2-time presidential candidate who led the civil rights movement for decades after the revered leader's assassination, passed away yesterday at 84. Passed away early this morning at 84. His daughter, Santita Jackson, confirmed that her father passed away at home, surrounded by family and friends. As a young organizer in Chicago, Jackson was called to meet with the late Dr. King at the Lorraine Motel in Memphis shortly before King was murdered, and he publicly positioned himself thereafter as King's successor. Jackson led a lifetime of crusades in the United States and abroad, advocating for the poor and underrepresented on issues from voting rights and job opportunities to education and healthcare. He scored diplomatic victories with world leaders, and through his Rainbow Push coalition, he channeled cries for Black pride and self-determination into corporate boardrooms, pressuring executives to make America a more open and equitable society. And when he declared, "I am somebody," in a poem he often repeated, he sought to reach people of all colors. I may be poor, but I am somebody. I may be young, but I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. Jackson intoned. It was a message he took literally and personally, having risen from obscurity in the segregated South to become America's best-known civil rights activist since King. Quote, our father was a servant leader, not only to our family, but to the oppressed, the voiceless, the overlooked around the world. The Jackson family said in a statement posted online, we shared him with the world, and in return, the world became part of our extended family. His unwavering belief in justice, equality, and love uplifted millions, and we ask you to honor his memory by continuing to fight for the values he lived by. So, one of the people that probably, controversial, sure, absolutely controversial, no doubt about it. That's the point. That's exactly the point. I would be surprised if there's condolences from the White House, but RIP, Reverend Jackson. Okay, want to get back to the pardon thing just a moment, because I think it's really, really important that we talk about this, because there's been a lot of misinformation connected to the power of the presidential pardon. And as this lawmaker, Rep. Olszewski, states, and along with bipartisan support from Don Bacon and others, there seems to be some interest in maybe curtailing this power a little bit. I would think this would be an overwhelmingly supported issue, that we control the power of the presidential pardon. So let's look historically at a few things, because I think it's really important that we, I guess understand. Let me see if I can find it. Understand the differences between the two. First of all, let's just discuss what they are. So I took some notes here, so make sure I can find it. Hang on one second. Everybody keep tapping, please. Basic meaning between the two. A pardon forgives the crime, and a commutation reduces the sentence. If you're pardoned, the conviction remains in effect, but it's forgiven. A commutation means the conviction remains unchanged, okay? Effect on your sentence. A pardon eliminates remaining penalties if granted after conviction. A commutation shortens or ends the sentence. Does a pardon restore civil rights? Often, yes. That varies by state or by states' rights. A commutation? No. Pardon does imply forgiveness. A commutation does not, just mercy on the sentence. Okay? So that's the level set. So what I did, I was curious. I wanted to compare Barack Obama, Joe Biden, and Donald Trump's 2 terms. Because what we hear from the right is that, oh my God, Biden, commutations, which is true. But let's break it down a little bit. Between Barack Obama's 2 terms, 212 pardons and 1,715 commutations. And we'll break those down in just a bit. Donald Trump's first term, 144 pardons and 95 commutations. And then Joe Biden, in his term from 2021 to 2025, 80 pardons and 4,165 commutations. And this particular term, mass pardons by Donald Trump and dozens more commutations, totaling at least 1,500 that we know of. And that's connected to J6 primarily, and then we've had numerous pardons in between. So let's talk about them. Biden, largest scale of clemency, the largest total in modern history, largely due to mass commutations of non-violent offenders. Obama, the second highest in modern times, driven again by drug sentencing reform efforts. Trump, first term, far fewer total actions than Obama or Biden. Second term, large-scale, controversial mass pardons, January 6th, for example. President Obama's his commutations were primarily drug sentences. Joe Biden, again, overwhelmingly, his commutations, again, were low-level crimes. Donald Trump, more balanced but fewer choices his first term. Second term, large mass pardons, including political cases. Again, Obama's focused on reducing harsh sentences. Many commutations were for nonviolent drug offenders. This is from Wiki. Trump from 2017 to 2021, a mix of criminal justice reform cases and high-profile allies. First Step Act related commutations plus celebrity and or political pardons. Biden, large-scale commutations tied to C-19 home confinement cases, drug sentencing disparities, and then record-setting single-day clemency actions. And then Trump, 2025 to present, mass pardons for J6 defendants, and then additional individual pardons. So let's get into some of the most controversial, okay? Because this is where it gets really, really interesting. Again, all we do here is report on what we see. Everybody keep tapping, please. Obama, from 2009 to 2017, 1,927 total acts of clemency. His commutations were heavily shaped by, this is from Pew, his commutations were heavily shaped by the Obama-era clemency initiative aimed at overly long federal sentences, especially drug cases. Nonviolent crimes. The overwhelming majority, it's 97% or higher, are nonviolent crimes, both Obama and Biden, okay? Trump first term, 238 acts of clemencies, pardons and commutations, and widely reported split, 143 pardons and 94 commutations in his first term. Biden, 4,245 total acts of clemency, including a near total reduction of federal death sentences, commuted 37 of 40 on federal death row. They didn't get out of jail. They just got their death sentence commuted down to life in prison. Trump, second term, 2025 to present, began with a mass J6 clemency and pardons only hours after taking office. By early 2026, multiple outlets describe in total 1,700 or more, often noting that 1,500 plus are J6 related. And then the DOJ's running list of second term grants continues. Drug offenders, narco traffickers, etc. Some of the ones that I think are the most controversial, the ones that we need to talk about. Obama. On December the 19th, 2016, a large batch of clemency grants. 231 people, the majority were drug offenders, nonviolent. January 17, 2017, Chelsea Manning commutation, a national security leak. January 17, 2017 as well, Oscar Lopez Rivera commutation, a Puerto Rican nationalist, highly polarizing, again, a national security issue. And January 17, 2017 as well, General James Cartwright was pardoned, made false statements in a leak probe. Why these were considered by Pew to be controversial? National security leaks, political violence, independent activism, and perceived elite treatment alongside a very large volume of drug sentence commutations. Reasonable to be critical of those commutations and pardons. Absolutely. Chelsea Manning, Oscar Lopez Rivera, they just be in jail, but they got pardoned. Trump first term, August 25th, 2017. Joe Arpaio. Remember Joe Arpaio? Yeah, criminal contempt, lied to a federal officer in a racial profiling case. Okay. July 10th, 2020, Roger Stone, later fully pardoned. He lied numerous times to the FBI about his connections to Russia, et cetera, et cetera. November the 25th, 2020, Michael Flynn lied to the FBI in Russia probe context. He pled guilty, went to jail, was pardoned. December 23rd, 2020, Paul Manafort similarly lied to the FBI, took money from Russia, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then January the 19th to the 20th, 2021, final hours on his way out the door, he pardoned Steve Bannon. Fraud case tied to border wall fundraising. So, hey, Oslo. So again, she did, yes, but she also committed treason. So yes, we can debate Chelsea Manning, but I'm trying to be objective here. So let's be objective, right? We could absolutely anybody with objectivity on the right should certainly look at those and say, none of those gentlemen should have been pardoned. Joe Arpaio went to jail for racial profiling and got pardoned, okay? Joe Biden, these are the ones that would be considered questionable. December the 12th, 2024. Largest modern day one-day clemency, 1,500 commutations and 39 pardons, most tied to COVID-era home confinement. December 23rd, 2024, commuted 37 of 40 federal death row sentences to life without parole. And then December 1st, 2024, he pardoned his son. And then there's some preemptive pardons connected to J6, the J6 committee, family members as well. Easily able to criticize. Like I said before, I don't mind. I'm not in support of the death penalty, so I have no issues with people's life sentence, death sentences commuted to life. They didn't get out of jail, which again, this is a lie that's been told by the right. The right said that Joe Biden pardoned death row inmates and they were released. It's just not true. Okay, it's just not true. Again, be objective, right? Let's be objective. We can certainly criticize the president pardoning his own son. I understand why he did it. As a parent, if I were in that situation, would I do the same thing? Probably. That's being honest. Probably. The preemptive pardon for J6 committee, That looks fishy and suspicious. I can see why the right would question that. But again, I understand it. The whole point is I don't like the presidential pardon power. I just don't like it. I just don't like it. Trump taking office this time. Immediately after inauguration, mass J6 clemency and pardons near blanket action plus some sentences commutations for the J6 insurrectionist traitors. January the 21st to the 22nd, Ross Ulbricht, drug trafficker, Silk Road. May 26th to the 28th of 2025, examples of second-term clemency for public corruption, fraud, and celebrity cases. Virginia Sheriff, bribery fraud, the Chrisley's fraud, tax evasion, CZ from Binance, all these things we can easily call into question. We know Binance connected to World Liberty Financial. Binance was used to funnel money to the H Group and others. Binance opened the door for World Liberty Financial to get credibility in the crypto space. And then again, that's CZ. And then November the 10th, Rudy Giuliani and others tied to efforts to overturn the 2020 election as reported. Can we be objective again, MAGA? Thank you. Can we be objective? Can we objective and say, okay, those look weird, right? This is the whole point here. What I'm attempting to try to do is to show people on the right that the left can be objective. I'm sitting up here saying, I don't like the fact that some of these people got pardoned, right? I just don't like it. Why can't we have the same energy from the right? It's not a stretch to say the president should not have unlimited pardon powers. You can't criticize one without criticizing the other. Yeah, Jared Kushner's dad got pardoned, right? You can't criticize one without criticizing the other. The bulk of Obama and Biden's clemencies were connected to non-violent drug trafficking, mandatory minimums, crack-era sentencing, smaller set of high-profile national security and/or political cases like the Manning commutation, the Cartwright pardon, for example. Trump first term, mix of white-collar, political corruption, obstruction, and some culture war cases. In his cases, political investigation-related crimes, lying to investigators, obstruction adjacent, Michael Flynn, Roger Stone, Paul Manafort, fraud, corruption, campaign finance cases, including Steve Bannon, border wall fundraising and fraud pardons, and then some high salient law enforcement contempt cases, racial profiling, Joe Arpaio. Where I think it gets really, really, really bad for Trump, if we're doing this, again, I know you're going to say, TDS. No, I'm just trying to be objective here, okay? I'm being critical of Obama. I don't need to defend myself to you. What am I fucking talking about? So let's talk about some of the ones that are the most controversial as it comes to some of the people that were pardoned from J6, okay? On January the 20th of last year, the president granted clemency and pardons to 1,500 people or more connected to January 6th. This include full pardons for most defendants and commutations for 14 leaders of the Proud Boys and Oath Keepers convicted of seditious conspiracy. So pardons for the insurrectionist, riotous traitors who beat up cops. Okay, that. And then 14 who were convicted of seditious conspiracy. Sedition is treason against the United States. So the president of the United States takes an oath to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And he pardoned and commuted the sentence of 14 insurrectionist traitors who committed acts of sedition and were convicted for it, including Ethan Nordine, Proud Boy leader, convicted of seditious conspiracy, sentenced to 18 years, clemency granted, and sentence commuted January the 25th. Got out of jail. Still guilty, but out of jail. Joseph Biggs, Proud Boys organizer, again, convicted, suspicious conspiracy, sentenced 17 years, sentence commuted. Zachary Rehl, R-E-H-L, Proud Boys leader, crime, seditious conspiracy, sentenced to 15 years, sentence commuted. Dominic Pizzola, Proud Boys member, violent entry, smashed Capitol windows with a riot shield, convicted. He's the guy who broke in first There's that famous video of Dominic Pizzola with a police riot shield smashing a window, right? Sentenced to 10 years, sentence commuted. So let me ask you a question, MAGA. Let me ask you a question. Those 4 people were pardoned, okay? They committed treasonous acts against the United States. They were convicted. They went to court. Evidence was presented. They were convicted of their crimes. They were pardoned by the president. Their sentences were commuted, okay? Hunter Biden, convicted of a tax crime and unlawful purchase of a firearm. I forget what the exact crime was, but he purchased a firearm lying on his federal firearm application form. Do you think they're the same? Yes, the principle, the pardon commutation is the same, but do you think that those crimes are the same? Probably not. Here's a few more. Kelly Meggs, Oath Keeper founder from Florida, seditious conspiracy, sentenced to 10 years. Again, sedition, treason, sentence commuted. These are the ones, those are just the Proud Boy leadership. Those are just some that were convicted of sedition, seditious conspiracy. Let's talk about the violent assaults on police officers, shall we? Shane Jenkins, multiple felonies for assaulting the police during the riot, sentenced to 7 years for assaulting police officers during the riots, sentenced to 7 years, pardoned on January 20th for his involvement in J6. Law and Order, got it. Andrew Take, it's one of my favorites, assaulted officers using bear spray and a metal whip. Pardoned. By the way, Andrew Take, what was wanted, there was a warrant out for his arrest on a 2016 charge of, guess what? Soliciting a minor online. That guy was pardoned. These are individuals that were charged later or convicted of additional serious crimes. Andrew Paul Johnson pled guilty to capital-related charges, pled guilty, was pardoned, later convicted of multiple counts of child SA involving minors under the age of 12. Now faces potential life sentence. Interesting. There are dozens like this. There are dozens like this. I've got a few more for you. Jared Wise, remember that name? Jared Wise was captured on video on J6 that said, kill him, get him at officers. Indicted for assault-related offenses, pardoned. You know who Jared Wise is now? Jared Wise was hired as a Department of Justice advisor. That guy. Yep, that guy. Nothing to see here though, right? Is that a bad look, you think? Enrique Tarrio, seditious conspiracy. Joseph Biggs, seditious conspiracy. Ethan Nordine, seditious conspiracy. Zachary Real, seditious conspiracy. Again, that's treason, convicted. Stuart Rhodes, Oath Keeper, plot to stop the certification, seditious conspiracy. Kelly Meggs, seditious conspiracy. Kenneth Harrelson, seditious conspiracy. Jessica Watkins, seditious conspiracy. Thomas Caldwell, seditious conspiracy. Roberto Minuta, again, separate seditious conspiracy charges, sentence commuted. Edward Vallejo, Joseph Hackett, David Morshell, Andrew Take. Then Daniel Ball, attack on a police officer with an explosive device. Rearrested days after on a felon gun possession, which again, through video evidence, you can see his gun on him when he's climbing up the scaffolding during J6. So that completely defeats the argument that there were no firearms there, because that ain't fucking true at all. Emily Hernandez pled guilty to entering a restricted grounds, the famous Pelosi signed photograph, sentenced to 10 years for a deadly 2022 DUI crash after her pardon. Zachary Alam, violent role smashing glass near the speaker's lobby, sentenced to 8 years. Prior convictions, including auto theft, DUI, rearrested for alleged home invasion May of last year. Peter Schwartz assaulted police officers with pepper spray, sentenced to 14 years, 38 prior convictions. Recently incarcerated on an unrelated sexual assault sentence. 38 prior convictions, including assault, threats, a dozen domestic violent instances. And that guy got pardoned? Okay, got it. David Daniel tried to breach the Senate floor, pled guilty to resisting and assaulting officers. By the way, facing child sex abuse charges. Okay, Taylor Taranto, convicted on January 6 counts including firearm related per DOJ summary. Again, shocker MAGA, another one with a gun charge connected to J6. J6 pardon. Convicted in May of illegal guns and ammos and a bomb threat. Cool. Brent John Holdridge pled guilty. Sentenced. Arrested in May to major copper wire theft burglary. Edward Kelly breached the Capitol. Convicted. Convicted in a separate case for plotting to unalive FBI agents that investigated him after J6. Christopher Moynihan, again, sentenced 21 months, arrested and charged for threatening to unalive Hakeem Jeffries. Casey Hopkins, 4 months, forcibly, again, a prior conviction to forcible grape. A prior conviction. Edward Richmond Jr., assaulting officers with a deadly weapon, a baton, sentenced to 4+ years, a prior conviction for manslaughter. Jonathan Gennaro Mellis, assaulting officers with a large wooden stick, prior felony for meth trafficking. Benjamin Martin, again, multiple J6, including civil disorder, violent assault, being on restricted grounds, sentenced to 13 months, prior DV-related convictions, prohibited from owning a firearm. And Edward Hemingway, sentenced to 45 days, multiple prior convictions for sexual battery, criminal confinement, conviction, probation revoked, prison resentencing. These are the people that committed these crimes, and these are the people that he pardoned. He put predators literally back on the street. He put sexual predators back on the street. People convicted of either previously, in some cases, child sexual abuse, and then guess what? They went on and committed more crimes. The same types of crimes. The President of the United States, by pardoning these individuals, put sexual predators back out on the street. And guess what happened? They committed the same crimes. Some of them are now facing life in prison. But the immigrants, right? But the LGBTQIA community, right? But women, right? But black and brown people, right? What did that list have in common? All white men. Anybody want to comment on that, MAGA? Anybody care to comment on what I just read? Again, that's not some blue-haired leftist. That's just what the criminal records show. He literally put men back out on the street who had previous convictions for assaulting children. He put them back out on the street again, and guess what they did? Shocker. Yeah, but men and women's sports. But transgender for everyone. But the Dow is over $50,000. But gas prices are down 25 cents. So when people talk to you, when they criticize, when they say, well, Biden this, Biden that, be objective. Say, yeah, we don't think the president should have that kind of pardon power. I got to move the puzzle piece. Hold on a second here. Yeah, we agree. We don't think the president should have that pardon power. But can we talk about some of them specifically? Just give them the name. What's the one? Give them the name Andrew Take. It's Taake. He assaulted officers with bear spray and a metal whip, was sentenced to 6 years for that crime. In 2016, he was facing charges for online solicitation of a minor. Multiple examples. And was then rearrested after J6 pardon for doing it again. Remember that name when they want to bring up, what about Hunter? Just remember that name, okay? Now we can sit here and say what Hunter did was fucked up. No love lost, okay? Just bring up that name. Bring up the name, what's the other one here? Andrew Take and, what's the other one? Hang on one second. I got another one for you that I want you to remember. I think it's Daniel Rodriguez. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. But the stock market's breaking records. Yeah, I think it's Daniel Rodriguez. I think that's the one. Hang on one second. Let me just look that one up real quick. How do you spell that? Everybody keep tapping, please. Let's see. Daniel Rodriguez used a stun gun against Metropolitan Police Officer Michael Fanone during the riot. The incident was captured on video and became a central piece of evidence in the prosecution. Rodriguez pled guilty to assaulting a federal officer with a dangerous weapon, conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, and then other related felony counts. He was sentenced to 12 years and 7 months in federal prison, one of the longest sentences among J6 defendants at the time. President Trump pardoned him. Daniel Rodriguez was one of those who received clemency despite the seriousness of his assault. He had priors. Yeah, that guy. That guy was pardoned. So you can miss me with your bullshit. But yes, but the Dow is over $50,000. Yeah, the Dow is over $50,000. Hi, Jen.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm hanging in there. Today's the day. Yesterday was President's Day, so I'm ready to go. There's no stopping me today. But I wanted to just bring up something on the opposite end that I think people should think about as well, if you grant me just a few minutes, just how the Trump administration and Trump in general doesn't think, and they just do these things. Because in the last 6 months of the first Trump administration, there were 13 federal, how do I say this TikTok friendly, unalivings that he pushed through without even looking at the evidence and just denied it. Usually,
of course.
Usually during a lame duck period, when a clement or a stay of execution is requested, they leave it for the next president because, you know, they want the next administration to do it. Well, in the last 6 months, well, let's just put it like this. From the time the election happened till he left office, there were 5. And 1, 2, 3, 4 of them were black men. One of them being Orlando Hall, who was unalived on November 19th, 2020, who they raised multiple allegations of racial discrimination. And the other one was Brandon Bernard, who was a black man who was unalived December 10th, 2020, who the jurors themselves regretted their decision, and that the trial and presentation was racially profiled as well. And Donald Trump would not give them a stay. Sorry, that's Sadie. She's angry.
It's okay. It's okay. No, I appreciate that, Jen. I appreciate that. Yeah. Again, the issue here is just how if there's any desire for members of Congress to unite on a constitutional amendment to restrict the presidential pardon power, sign me the fuck up.
Right.
Sign me the fuck up.
And
Yeah,
I think they should add in something about that if there's a lame duck period, that they should also leave it for the next president as well, because there were three of them that were, they had claims of intellectual disability and severe mental illness. And that also was not considered in their stay as well.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah. Anyways.
Point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for that, my friend.
Okay.
I appreciate you very much. Keep your head down out there, but stand up, but keep your head down. I got you. Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. Bye.
All right, bye. All right, bye. Yeah, I mean, I like that idea, right? I mean, that the lame duck period, there should be no pardons. None whatsoever. Good morning, stranger.
Fax. How are you?
How you doing? I'm better now. How are you?
I'm good. So you have an interesting question behind your very handsome head.
Yes.
It's been a while since someone asked me a question that provoked such thought. So I'm always glad to see you when you do this. Can the left unite? Fax, you're not gonna like my answer.
It's all good. That's why it's up there.
It's gonna be a hell and a no. Hell no. And the reason why it's going to be a hell no is because of the people that have pedestalized their own ideals above the whole. Again, I'm going to say that again. The people that have pedestalized their own ideals above the whole. And by the whole, I mean everyone else. Here's the thing that I want people to understand. There is no such thing as a perfect politician. And I've stated this before, and I will state this again, right? Gavin Newsom, people are mad that people are saying, well, let's do Gavin Newsom. And they're like, well, look what he's done in California. Look what he's done with the houseless population. The problem I have with people is that people don't dig deeper. So I can address that one issue for the houseless population, because I keep seeing this being said, especially by the people that want to claim socialism, that want to claim that aspect of social justice, right? If you have an issue with how Gavin Newsom addressed the houseless situation in California, understand that Gavin Newsom is working in a state that has the most social service programs privately funded than any state in the United States of America. Do I think he did a horrible job at wording what he was saying? Absolutely. A terrible fucking job at wording that, because it looks like he was just stripping them of funding and access and aid. It's not that. He knew, as governor of this state, that whatever their state money could not pick up, the social service programs on the back end would do. California has some exemplary social service programs for people from all different walks of life.
Some of the best
from
in the
any
country.
sort of
Some
background
of the
you
best in
can
any
find
state.
from any sort of background you can find a social service program in California that is specific to you, that has funding specific to your needs. They have programs in California for newly pregnant people. All you have to be is carrying a child, and you can sign up for services that can help you get your start. They can help you with formulas and cribs and bassinets, all of these things. So do I think he did a terrible fucking job at wording this? Do I think he's haphazard in his speeches? Yes. But do I also know that from digging deeper, California has an infrastructure network, social servicely, that would be able to pick up the slack? Yes. And do I think that as a governor, he knew this? Fuck yes. And so the thing is, there's no such thing as a perfect politician. Perfect doesn't exist. And the other thing that I will say is that if Gavin Newsom was to take the presidency, it wouldn't be because he's an angel. It wouldn't be because it was good for the cause. It would be because people are pissed off. And when you go to hell, they want somebody that's going to take you fucking lower. People are sick of being nice. The Democrats' biggest issue is the same issue that everybody else on the left has. You pedestalize your own ideals. You only care about what you think is right, and you want to be able to take the upper hand. You want to be able to be looked at as the bigger person, so you can smile and say that you didn't get in the mud. People want somebody that's gonna, for lack of better words, get in the fucking field. Gavin Newsom is proof that he will get in the fucking field. Even if his only special interest is the fact that he hates that orange ass man, he hates him. If that's his only special interest and he's willing to dig in because of his passions related to that orange asshole, fuck yeah, he's got my vote. Fuck, why are we playing nice? Why are we shaking hands and kissing their babies? Fuck them. Yeah, when you go to hell, we go lower. So if Gavin Newsom wins, what I want people to understand is this is not a vote for morality. Fuck your feelings. This is not a vote for morality. Fuck your feelings. Fuck how you feel. Fuck how you want people to talk to people in public. If Donald's big, bright orange ass can get out here on stage and call people piggies and everything else, Gavin Newsom can take the mic and tell everybody to shut the fuck up.
Fucking preach, Buzzy.
I don't give a fuck about your morality. You're sitting here and people are telling you that this orange asshole has been listed in these files more than Jesus has been named in the Bible. And somehow you're worried about the words coming out of somebody else's mouth and how nice they sound. Okay, so let me say it nicer for you. Hi, I'm Buzzy Little Bumblebee. And depending on who else steps up to the plate, if I end up voting for Gavin Newsom, it wasn't because I wanted somebody that was nice. It wasn't because I wanted somebody with charisma that was charming. Somebody that is willing to cuss everybody out. Was that nice enough for you? I want somebody that's going to tell these people where they can shove it. I want somebody that's going to stand firm on their beliefs, even if I don't fully agree with them and I can understand the premise. I want someone who stands for something and falls for nothing. Yeah, I want somebody with a Jasmine Crockett-like passion. I want people to know that there's not a single politician in the world, not even just the United States of America, but there's not a single politician in the world that doesn't have a special interest, that doesn't have a passion project, because every politician enters politics for something. And usually those reasons are selfish and related specifically to their circumstances, upbringings, or their sufferings, right? What I wanted in the Supreme Court system, what I want in politics is what I want in the Supreme Court. Here's what it was taught to me as by an amazing governmental teacher that loved RBG. She taught me that the Supreme Court is supposed to be the pendulum that swings in the balance. You don't want too much or too little. You want to hear all voices, and you want to come to a reasonable conclusion. You want that pendulum to continue to swing in the balance. I don't want the pendulum to stop. So if Gavin Newsom is willing to push that pendulum and keep it swinging, and also keep people on their toes, that's what I want in a politician. So again, for those who don't like it, no, the left cannot unite, because there are those of you that are self-righteous and holier than thou that swear you've done everything you can and the only thing y'all do is type behind your keyboards, that swear you've done anything you can and the only reason why you vote for people is because they look nice and they sound pretty. I sound pretty. Fuck your feelings.
Damn, I love you. It's been too long. I couldn't have said it any better myself, and I completely agree. And I know you well enough to know, even if it's not Gavin Newsom, you know what to do.
Exactly.
You know what to do. Exactly my point. I love you, Buzzy. Thanks for
swinging by.
Love you too.
Have a great day.
Always.
Bye,
You
handsome.
too. See you later. Thank you. Bye. No notes. She's exactly fucking right. I could not have said it better myself. And this is an issue. Well, Nin, you can not agree. You're proving the point. Nin, I'm going to invite you up. You're kind of proving the point. Okay? You're proving the point. Twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster, convicted felon, name on a list, predator, racist, got elected twice. And Your comment was Gavin Newsom's not liberal enough. You're part of the problem. I respect the fact that we've got convictions on the left. I respect the fact that there's a big tent. It's good and bad. The bigger the tent, the more voices. That's great. But to Buzzy's point, if you don't get exactly what you want, if your voice is the only voice that you feel matters under that big tent, then you don't belong here. I'm sorry. You just don't. You're not getting the big picture. The big picture is what's at stake. Ignore the candidate. And focus on the fact that we were talking about defending people's lives here. Okay? That is the assignment. Don't forget that under any circumstance. That is the assignment. And stop the fucking pearl clutching. Seriously, drives me crazy. Don't people understand what's at stake here? What we're trying to accomplish? If you want change, then do you think not participating, or do you think voting for the fucking cicada candidate is going to make a fucking difference? No, here's the challenge. Get off of your self-righteous pillow. Go and vote for whomever the Democratic nominee is, and then hold them accountable, and then demand constitutional change. Vote for down ballot Republicans or Democrats. Vote for down ballot progressives. Make sure you're overwhelming town hall meetings, city council meetings, so that we're getting more progressives elected down ballot. We can do that, and then force the next generation of politicians to be progressive. You want to fix things? That's how you fucking do it. Stop the goddamn pearl clutching. Seriously. Unreal. Techno, how are you this morning?
Hey, what's up? Hey, I'm good. Good.
Good.
So part of me, I really like what
you got. You got bad service, bro. Can't hear you, man. You got really bad service.
Oh, can you hear me?
Can't hear you. Got really bad service. Fix your Wi-Fi.
No.
Hello? No. Try again. If you can fix it, come on back up. Again, I'm just watching the comments go by. What is there to disagree about? Are you not understanding what's at stake? Do you know that people I've spoken to, friends that I've lost that I agree with ideologically, they said, I didn't really like Kamala Harris's views on Israel. Okay. What the fuck happened? What the fuck happened? Are you going to check out because a candidate still supports Israel? I get it. I despise it too. But people are fucking dying on the streets of U.S. cities, and we're denying people food. Really? Demand fucking change. You're going to have to get over AIPAC funding. Believe me, it fucking disgusts me. And I'm never going to settle for shit like that. But we have to protect people. That's what this is about. We're fighting for fucking humanity here. Get over your shit. Drives me fucking crazy. Here we are again, watching the comments. Hi, Rachel. How are you? Rachel, are you there? Rachel, progressive in your pocket. You can come back up if you want to. Exactly. Stop looking for perfection. Seriously. Hi, Cindy. How are you?
I am doing wonderful, and I want to add something to what you were saying. Leopards never change their spots.
True.
You guys need to remember this when you go out to vote. Down here in Florida, we have a candidate who was a Republican and literally voted against all sorts of stuff environmental down here. He voted against infrastructure. He literally caused almost complete failure up in the Tampa area. His name is David Jolly. I will call him out. I am not afraid to call him out. He refuses to answer my question about if you get the Democratic nomination, what guarantee will you give me and everybody else here that you will not do the same thing that you did all along? Why should you get another chance?
Okay, Cindy. So if he is the nominee and he's up against Byron Donald for the governor of your state, who are you going to vote for?
You know, and that's like a really tough choice because I don't think he's going to make it.
Cindy, no, it's not.
I'm not going to vote
choice.
for Donald's. I mean, I'm not going to vote for Donald.
Then you're going to vote for Jolly. That's the point. This is what you're missing.
No, I'm not missing the point. I
no, you are.
No,
you're
because
missing
we
the
have
point.
to stop him before he gets there.
Cindy, listen to me, please. If you've got two choices on election day for David Jolly or Byron Donalds, who are you voting for?
Unfortunately, I will vote for Jolly, and I've told you, I've said that. I will vote for whoever the Democratic nominee is.
Cindy, it shouldn't be unfortunately. We've got to look at this as harm reduction. Who's going to harm your state less, Byron Donald or David Jolly?
Unfortunately, they will harm it the same.
Cindy, Cindy, okay, you can leave. Goodbye. Friends, people, wake up, you guys. Wake up. We just went through this fucking exercise. Please, wake up. If you're going to compare Byron Donald, who's been sucking Trump's dick for fucking years, to David Jolly, and you have to be like, well, I'm not sure. Give me a fucking break. Are you kidding me? This is how Trump got elected. Stop the goddamn pearl clutching. Wake up. There's no fucking comparison. Yes, I know David Jolly was a Republican. I've read a lot about him. I agree with a lot of his politics, but he's a decent guy. He's come around and said a lot of things critical of this administration. Enough. Are you fucking kidding me? This drives me crazy. We literally just went through this exercise, and here you are with your entitled bullshit. You can leave.
I just got...
How are you?
Hey, I think I have better service now. Can you hear me good?
I can now, yes.
Okay, yeah. So I've been on some other lives with, now, let me just, what's been kind of pissing me off has been what I've seen on a lot of African-American lives, okay, is when they're like, well, you know, you guys are going to have to stand up, white people.
Wait, are you a black man?
No.
Then why are you talking about black creators?
I'm saying that a lot of them are on the left as well. So it's part of.
I don't care. You don't speak for them. You can leave. I've got a short trigger finger today. Just so you know.
I literally. Ooh, I'm not gonna. All right. Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Jesus. I'm good, man. Let's namaste together so we can get there. It's only 9:20. I got 2.5 hours to go yet.
Okay. All right.
We're good.
That's very interesting. You know what else is interesting? Steve, chat, did you guys know that the Democratic primaries for the 2028 presidential election has already passed and Gavin Newsom is the nominee? Because I didn't know that. So I'm trying to figure out
either.
why is it that every single video, and I'm going to try my hardest not to name the people that I have been blocked from now for commenting on their video, for posting their quote unquote opinion on the matter, that we have already nominated Gavin Newsom. Why do I see all these videos saying that they're not going to vote, and from the head honcho himself saying that if it came down between Gavin Newsom and JD Vance, he's voting third party?
Exactly.
And I call him the head honcho because he, just like every other privileged leftist that has over 1 million followers on Twitch, on YouTube, on TikTok, and every other social media platform, is telling everybody else, hey, don't vote for the quote unquote established Democratic candidate because they don't align holistically with your values. I know. Steve?
I know. Yeah.
80% of eligible Black Americans vote Democrat. It is the largest margin out of all race demographics who vote in the federal election. 80%. White people are split. The Latin Hispanic vote, split. The Asian community, split. But when it comes to Black voters, they vote harm reduction. They vote in their best interest, and they understand that the Democratic Party is that. Are we happy with the Democratic Party? No. And let me actually rephrase that.
And we have reason not to be happy, Manny. We have reason. Yes. That's the whole point, right? That's the whole fucking point.
And like, let me rephrase that. Because I know this is going to ruffle some feathers here. When I say the Democratic Party, I mean the DNC, the 450 voting members of the DNC. AOC is not one of them, by the way. So when people say that AOC is outside of the DNC of the Democratic Party, she's not established. Yes, because she isn't a voting member of the DNC. I'm not talking about the DNC. The DNC's broke, by the way. FYI, if no one knew this, they are $17 million in the hole going into 2026. They are broke. Meanwhile, the GOP, because of the Make America Great Again PAC, super PAC that Donald Trump has, he has a war chest of over $200,000 or $1 million. The DNC is broke, and you guys are all out here going around saying, I'm not going to follow what the DNC. If you're waiting for the DNC to make a move for you so you can then go and vote, you're going to fail America the way that you failed Bernie. Because nobody went out and voted in the primaries. I can say that confidently when the total number of primary voters in 2016 was 25% of the eligible voters. 25%. If you guys aren't going out there and telling the DNC and telling the Democrats who you want in the primaries, then you better fucking vote for the person that, yes, they picked for you. Or stop saying that you vote for me. Stop saying that you vote for the LGBTQ plus party. Stop saying that you vote for marginalized communities when you don't. You don't. You think you know better than the Black community. That is why that man came up here and wanted to talk about Black spaces, talking about things that had nothing to do with him. You think you know better than 80% of the Black community that votes for Democrats. That is why you wanted to come up and talk about Black community. I'm tired of this shit. You guys don't know better than the majority of the community that votes that way.
No notes. No notes.
Anyways, everybody,
I appreciate you.
Let's not lose any more elections. And I haven't been keeping up with the last week because I've been very busy with work, but I know that since January up until 2 weeks ago, there have been 18 general elections. The Democrats have won 15 of them. The Democrats have flipped 2 of those 15 that they have won. We could have had the other 2, which was Alabama and South Carolina. South Carolina was lost by 21 votes. Everyone, please go and check your registration. Please go out and vote. Please look into your ballot measures. Also, for those that are saying it's a primary, I can vote in the general. If you don't know the rules of the primary, a lot of primaries are also winner takes all. So if they do win over 50% of your vote, they automatically become the candidate and they will not go into a general election or a runoff. Just because it says the word primary doesn't mean I don't show up and vote. Please, everyone go out and vote. Everyone go out and vote.
I appreciate you, my friend. Have a good day. Be safe out
Yes.
there, all right?
Love you. Love you guys.
Peace. Peace. I just want to take a moment here. Black woman Buzzy, Black man Manny, come up here and say, listen, a system that is fucking rigged against me because of the color of their skin, a literal system that works against them every single day, is not pearl clutching. They know the assignment. And then we get privileged fucking white people come up here and say, well, you know, he might do this, or let me speak on behalf of the Black community. Are you ever going to get the fucking message? Are you ever, white America, are you ever going to get the message? You don't stand for anything when you sit there and say, well, you know, David Jolly might do this. You are faced with two options between Byron fucking Donald, who has voted to take away women's rights to their body, who has sucked Trump's dick from day fucking one, and you even think about it? And you literally even think about it? If you're in Florida and those are your choices, you should be running to the fucking polls to vote for David Jolly. And then get off of your entitled bullshit couch and then work to get down ballot progressives elected. Plain and fucking simple. Primaries are where you prop up alternative voices. Primaries, no expectation that you're going to vote for whoever the mainstream candidate is. That's why you have primaries. Find your candidate, find out who it is, campaign for them, phone bank for them, door knock for them. But when the time comes and it's the general election day, if you don't get your candidate, tough fucking shit. The Democratic Party falls in love. The Republican Party falls in line. Plain and fucking simple. Do respect Michelle Obama. When they go low, we need to go fucking lower. Do you not understand what we're talking about here? I can't believe that that happened in real time, but here we sit. Here we sit. Unreal. It's just like, it's amazing to me. Redacted, how are you? Good morning. Redacted.
Hey, man.
Are
You
you
hear
there?
me all right?
I can. Yes. What's on your mind?
All right. How you doing, buddy? Good morning.
I'm good. What's on your...
First of all, I want to thank you for... Yeah, sorry. I had to get some background noise down. I wanted to thank you for having this conversation, because this is exactly the conversation we need to be having right now. Of course, that's why you're having it. But I see no value in squabbling with the mouth breathers anymore, right? What I wanted to come up and say was we on the left need to start being realistic, right? I don't remember who said it recently, but we need to start talking like normal people, right? Because what we need to realize is that the majority of the American voting populace, to put it politely, is kind of fucking stupid, right?
Yeah. Uninformed. I wouldn't disparage. I would say uninformed.
That's fair. But we need to realize that most people are not political nerds like we are. Most people don't know the history of black people in America, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right?
Have you made some questionable comments about grape, by the way?
No.
A lot of people in the chat are saying you are, so I'm just not going to really take the chance today, but thanks for being here. Appreciate it. I got a short trigger finger today, friends. I apologize, but it's just got me angry. I can't believe we're still here. I can't believe we're still here. Just wild. Mac, how are you?
I'm good. I've never done this before, but I really respect your opinion, and I'm thinking about doing something for I live in Texas, first of all, where we are basically an oligarchy, and I know that there is a huge Texas Patriots PAC voting guide to vote back in Paxton, and and just all the worst of the worst into the general. And so I have seen people talk about, Democratic people talk about voting in those Republican primaries to at least try to get sane non-MAGA Republicans based on, looking at their history, or if nothing else to, mess up the from the worst of the worst getting in. What are your thoughts on that?
I've heard that too. I mean, it's risky, right? It's risky.
Yeah.
I would rather use limited funding to promote progressive candidates across state house and congressional districts across the country, and then let the primary voters speak for themselves. I miss the days when you can have conversations with conservatives to be able to disagree and argue over economic policy and come up with a solution that doesn't take away the rights of people. It's risky. It's a strategy. I'd rather not do it. I would just rather get more progressive candidates elected down ballot.
Yeah.
Personally.
Okay. Yeah, because my thought was I really honestly can't choose between James and Candace, or not Candace. I'm sorry, I'm nervous and I'm tired.
Don't be nervous. You're good. You're doing great.
And I was like, if both of them got into the primaries, I'd be ecstatic. I love them both. And so that's, that was my primary reason that it occurred to me. Well, if I can't do that, then perhaps I can, vote in the primaries to keep the freaking James Bond villains out of getting into the ballot, at least.
Yeah.
Or
you bring up a good point. We obviously, let me clarify. We want more voices. That's the point. I don't, none of us likes the two-party system, but what people don't understand, especially entitled leftists, is that if we want to make changes, you've got to be willing to say, I'm going to survive today to thrive tomorrow. For people who think that whomever it is, again, there's no nomination yet. Whomever the Democratic candidate is going to be 9,000,000% better than J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio for the president. Can you stop with the background noise? Mac,
I apologize.
The background noise, please. Okay. He's going to be 9,000,000% better than anything the Republicans can put forward if you care about human rights. It's that simple. It shouldn't be complicated. People just got to stop overthinking it. Yeah.
So, absolutely.
Thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate
Thank you so much. I appreciate your thoughts. Bye-bye.
You got it. Take care. And by the way, I just want to pause real quick, and I've got a lot of folks requesting. I'll bring everybody up in just a second. But Thomas Massie is no hero. I want to make sure that we point that out. Thomas Massie voted in support of the SAVE Act. Thomas Massie has voted against rights for marginalized communities. Thomas Massie is a conservative Republican on the edge of MAGA who politically is vile. He's no fucking hero. And I don't want people to be saying, like I said yesterday, I will give him credit because he spoke up in defense of survivors. Give credit where credit's due. But he's no fucking hero. He voted with Trump like 95% of the time. Okay? And again, I'm still watching the comments. You guys aren't getting it. You just aren't getting it. What is so difficult about this exercise? Right? Like I changed I went back and forth with what I wanted to use for a caption. Right? Like, the left eats its own, and it's fucking true. Right? Can we please stop and then refocus ourselves a little bit, please? Please? Oh, we're going to suddenly blow people's mind, Oslo. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning there, bud. Yeah. Conspiracy theory busted, I guess.
Look, my hands are right here.
Yeah, but where are your feet?
Or just move a little bit, Oslo.
Hey there, bud. This is a great conversation. I love this. I'm ready to risk it all and lose a bunch of followers, but that's okay because I believe in it like you do. So I'm going to tell a little story if that's okay.
Please do.
A little while ago, I was supposed to go on a road trip. My car is kind of old and busted. Like I've got an old Oldsmobile, and it's emphasis on the olds. You know what I mean? All right.
But
and I was going on a road trip from Los Angeles to Las Vegas with a couple of friends, and we go out to pack the car, and there's a flat tire. And I'm like, oh dang, there's a flat tire. What do we do? And I've got one friend who says, well, I have a spare tire in my car that we can use. And I have another friend who's like, what's the point? We're not going to get to Vegas. We're not going to do our trip. We might as well just give up, not go on the trip at all. In fact, maybe we should sell the car for parts because we can't drive it with a flat tire anyway. Now, which friend do I choose to listen to here? Do I say, yeah, you're right, it's not going to get us to Vegas? Because one friend says, here's a spare tire that's rated for 50 miles. And that's not going to get us from Los Angeles to Vegas, but maybe it will get us to a tire shop where we can put on a new tire. It's not going to get us all the way that we want to go, but it's going to get us some of the way and toward where we want to go. Or do I listen to the friend that says, no, the spare tire is only going to get us 50 miles and Vegas is way longer than 50 miles. So we might as well just give up and not go on this road trip. Which friend am I going to pick? I think I'm going to pick the spare tire that gets me to the tire shop so I can put on a new tire. And yeah, I mean, America is an Oldsmobile. And it's old and it's rickety. So maybe we put on a spare tire and another 50 miles down the road from the tire shop, we gotta get an oil change. And fine, sure. And maybe a little bit further down the road on the road trip, we blow a gasket and we gotta take it to a mechanic. And we gotta stop all the way. And maybe it takes us longer to get to Vegas than we want to, but we gotta always be moving on the road. We gotta always be progressing. We can't just be sitting at home wishing and waiting for a perfect car because our car sucks and we got to get on the road. We can't wait for, just a perfect, nice electric vehicle to show up in our driveway. We got to start driving. We can't wait any longer. So that's what I think.
I love that, Oslo. I kind of also use the theory of I look at the Democrats as public transportation. It gets me 4 stops closer to home, and I'm willing to walk the rest of the way myself. It's a great point. I love it. Thank you for jumping in today. I know you're working on something too, Oslo, about a little initiative that you're working on. Did you want to talk about that now?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's pretty early on, but I'm calling it America for All because I just feel like we need something like a unifying message. Listen, I want to pull the Democrats to the left. I want to pull the entire country to the left, and this is going to take decades. Where we're at right now with Donald Trump and MAGA and people like Nick Fuentes, that has started in the 70s with the Heritage Foundation, right around the time of Roe v. Wade. They've been working decades to pull the Overton window in this country to the right so that the center of this country is center right. We need to pull it back. It's not going to happen in midterms alone. It's not going to happen in 2028 alone. It's going to be decades of work. So
we need the
I
courts
want
for that
to.
Too.
What's that?
We need the courts for that too.
Yeah, it's going to be a long time, guys. There's not a quick fix. So it just takes incremental work and hard work. And when I say incremental work, I'm not giving up. I'm saying that's the hard, tough work. But anyways, what I want to do is start that process of bringing the Democratic Party more to the left and the center with it. And so I'm calling for a unifying message, unifying the left as a whole. And I think that message is America for all. Because we need to build I think it's a unifying message. We need to build an America that works for all Americans. If you talk to any American, I feel like everybody knows, right or left, that the American dream, as promised by our founding fathers, doesn't and maybe has never actually worked for all Americans through our history. So when I say America for all, I mean affordability for all. I mean opportunity for all. I mean education for all. I mean healthcare for all. And lastly, and maybe most important, I mean liberty and justice for all. It's time we actually stand on the promise in our founding documents that America is for all Americans. It's time we actually live up to that promise. And I feel like that message will bring us to the left and have a real progressive movement. And we can bring Democrats and everyone else along with the DNC along with us. So that's my thing. I bought a domain name. I tried to, I've been thinking about, trying to take it to the DNC, but I think it needs to come from the left and we need to rope the DNC along with us. It shouldn't come from the DNC. So that's what I'm doing. And when the time is right in the next couple of months, I'm going to be calling on all my creator friends who are much bigger than me, like you, Steve. And I want to make a bunch of posts and get America for All, hopefully trending. And we can start a little counter to the America First movement.
I appreciate that, Oslo. Thank you for your words of wisdom for us this morning. I appreciate you very much. Friends, if you don't follow Oslo, please do. I know we've blown a lot of people's minds this morning just watching the comment section scroll by, but thank you, my friend. I appreciate you very much. Have a good day. Be safe out there, okay?
Love you guys.
All right, see you
Bye.
later. All right,
Get
bye.
that flag.
Oh, sorry. I got you. Sorry about that. Right? Right? I'm struggling with this because I don't want this. Let me think about how I want to say this. Part of the Do Something tour sort of piggybacks a little bit onto what Oslo was talking about, right? And by the way, this is our tracker. If you want to donate to the Do Something tour, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. We are working on creating a GoFundMe, but for now, we use this. Part of the Do Something tour is to connect with people who feel left behind by democracy. I've said this before, roughly 90 million people who registered to vote did not participate in 2024. Okay, and I think 45 million of those people are the both sidesers. A lot of the people we saw in the comments this morning, right? Oh yeah, it's the same system. They all suck. That's lazy. That's just flat out lazy because you stand for nothing. You stand in opposition to everything, but you stand for nothing. The other 45 million, again, these are just general. This is how it works in my head. The other 45 million people are a lot like us, right? That they're just a lot like us. That they feel like that politics doesn't work for them. They've been left behind by their candidates, whether it be Democrat, Republican. They've never been able to see their representatives in a town hall. They're not involved politically. They just want to raise their families. They just want to put food on the table. Mom and dad want to retire with dignity. They want to be able to, they want their kids to have a better life. They want affordable education, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Those people are winnable voters. They just need to feel heard. That's what the Do Something tour is about. It's a listening tour. Going out and asking people what they care for, what matters to you, what are the values that you hold dear. If you want those things that we all should want for ourselves, safer communities, access to health care, food, not having to concern yourself with food, those kinds of things, then we have an opportunity here to really look at our country differently. And if it's me talking to people, if it's you talking to people, whatever that looks like, I have to believe in humanity. If I don't, then what's the point in me doing this every day? I have to believe in humanity. And I do. I am a humanist. Leftists, you don't get it. You think your protest vote is going to make change? It's not. Use that same fucking energy and campaign for Democrats and then demand change by electing down ballot progressives. Hector's probably going to join me on some. Santana potentially. Talked to him as well yesterday. But I'm hoping that you can get the message. I'm hoping you can get the message. Buzzy, I see you. I'll bring a few other folks up and we'll have more conversations. Hi, Ash.
Good morning. So great minds think alike. I swear on the God I don't believe in that I was just going to come up and share a very similar analogy that Oslo shared. Like, I swear, I couldn't have said it any more perfect. And it just kind of aligns with, it feels like we are kidnapped and people are knocking on the door saying, we can unlock this door for you so you can leave. And we're like, no, thanks. We'll just wait actually for somebody who also has a car and then a place for me to go. Right? Like, that sounds really silly. Like, how about we just let the person open the door for us and then we can get out? And that exactly. I was going to come up and say exactly what Oslo said is that, yeah, I'd rather get in a car with one tire that's moving a little bit than sit in the car that's broke down on the road waiting for a perfect vehicle, right? My whole life, Correct. That's what I've done with vehicles. I bought a car, you save a little bit more and you trade it in and you get a better one. Then you save a little bit more, you Correct. Trade that one in and you get a better one. And I know that we're in a predicament right now and it feels really, really scary. And I was listening to the woman that was talking about David Jolly and I get it. And if she's listening, like, I get it. I hear you, but you gotta look. Sure. You gotta look deeper. And something that I want to point out that I feel like right now, if Republicans are willing to abandon their party, this is a different time to do that. It's dangerous. It isn't like they'd be ruining their career. It's dangerous on a lot of levels. You know, 20 years ago, I would say that there was more room for manipulation that way, right? Like getting what you want by switching parties but right now, like, and I mean like physically dangerous. Like I really, like right now is not the time. If you're going to fuck with Donald Trump and your party, like I feel like you mean some of it. You mean some of it. They are willing to abandon their party for something. Take the something. And then you know what? Trade him in. Trade him in down the road. Pull in the independents. And then you trade him in. And that's what we do. If he doesn't do what we want him to do, we will trade him in. But people need a taste of something. I'm not going to sit in a broke down vehicle for the rest of my life or in a room and not accept help from anybody. I'm tired of it. I agree with you, and no notes on what Oslo said. And I get that there's a line. I get it. Sure. And you know what? Personally in your own life, I get it.
Yeah.
But this is about everybody.
Correct.
This is about the country. And when we have that individualism as well, that's dangerous.
Yeah, the individualism that it's a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Right. Well, it's more of a curse politically because of what we're discussing this morning. Yeah, I agree.
Yep. And the binary is dangerous, y'all. The binary is a dangerous place to be, right? The binary has got us to where we're at, where we're saying it's either or. And guess what? Well, the either is winning. And I would really prefer to be on the or right now.
Yeah, for the Stranger Things fans, the political binary is the upside down. That's the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Alrighty, well, I'll talk to you later. Love you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah,
you got it. Love you too. See you later. All right, bye. Love this conversation. See, this is why I say you guys are the smartest fucking chat on TikTok. I'm going to bring Cass, hang tight. I see a bunch of people in there. Buzzy said you wanted to come back up. So here we go.
Yes. So I came back because your comment section is reminding me of the bumblebee I used to be. They decided to enter my inbox, and I have time on my hands, and that's a dangerous game when I, Buzzy Little Bumblebee, have time on my hands. All right. So for all of you that messaged me and said, that's not right, look at Mondani, I'm going to hit you in the head when I say this. Mondani was luck. Mondani was retaliation. Mondani is the example of everything that I was talking about. If you agreed with Mondani's points when he was campaigning, that's a bonus. People voted for the opposite of what they had. Luck. In a very specific location. New York City is a very different location. What happened in New York City is not going to happen in rural America. He was an exception, not the rule. He's doing great in New York. This proves your point, right?
I want to pause one quick second. Techno Pagan, the reason that I kicked you is because you, as an entitled white man, were attempting to speak for the black community. That's why you got tossed at the curb. So you can continue to whine and cry in the chat if you'd like, but that's why you got shown the door. Thank you. Sorry, Buzz. Go ahead.
And someone was like, define luck. Listen to what I'm saying. Timing, location, constituents. There is nobody New York is a very different place. You are not going to get a Mamdani in Utah. You are not going to get a Mamdani in Idaho.
Correct.
That is luck. That is timing and place, right? He was in the right place.
Good luck.
Yes,
good
he
luck,
was in the
but yes,
right
luck.
place,
Yep.
in the right time, with the right stances, and willing to put in the work. You are not going to get a Mamdani in Virginia. You are not getting a Mamdani in Carolina. You're not going to have that happen. He put in the work, and because people were actively ready for change and sick of the shit, they went for it. But that's not happening in fucking Idaho.
Correct.
That's not happening in Idaho.
Correct.
He was that one lucky pearl. He was that one lucky pearl. If only he could be everywhere. It would be amazing. But that's not reality, right? And then the other thing is, some of y'all are fucking lazy voters. Some of y'all are cut the shit. Some of y'all are fucking lazy. Majority of you did not take your asses to the poll to vote, which is why we have a criminal Tangelo in chief right fucking now. Because y'all didn't show the fuck up. But you want to be in the comment sections. You want to be in the comment sections and in everybody's fucking inbox saying, oh, he's not perfect enough. He's not shiny enough. No, cut the shit. Top-down voting doesn't work. Top-down voting does not fucking work. If you want change to happen, you have to understand that the president can only do what your congressional body allows.
Normally.
In most cases, because what we're looking at now is a different type of fucking situation. In most cases, your president can only do what the congressional body allows and what the congressional body allows them to get away with. There are several offenses. Just looking at our Constitution as it stands, this man has made several offenses now that would be impeachable. But is our congressional body doing it? No. Voting from the top down does nothing. If the only thing that you show up for is presidential voting, I really do not give a fuck about your political opinions. If the only thing you vote in is when it's time to vote for president, I could give a fuck. You vote from the bottom to the top. You want to change the system, you vote from the bottom to the top, which is why what Manuel was saying is so important. If you want change, you start with the worker bees. Because those worker bees have the ability to muzzle the big dog if they do their job. You want people that are willing to put the work in. You have to show up for every election. You have to show up for every primary. All of these people get in here shouting about the school board. Where the fuck were you when your school board was having meetings and you, the people in that district, had the ability to change curriculum, to change budgeting? Some of y'all are lazy ass voters and only care when it personally affects you. If you're going to come in my inbox shouting about Mamdani, give me another name. Tell me who the other Mamdani is. And tell me how well that worked out. If you're going to come in my inbox on your high horse, give me the list. Give me the data. This whole pedestalization of your morality because you want the perfect candidate, if you find a candidate that you agree with 100% of the time, dig deeper and look yourself in the mirror.
So well said.
That's all I have to say. Don't come in my inbox on some bullshit talking about Mamdani, talking about how you're a socialist, talking about how you're a leftist. I personally don't give a fuck. Stop being fucking lazy. Get off your asses and vote. Protest voting does nothing. Have you motherfuckers learned nothing? Remember what happened with Bernie Sanders? When so many of you took your ass to protest vote by writing in Kanye West and Harambe, that fucking gorilla that died. Remember that? They were calling out who had votes and the percentage of votes. And one of the top candidates on that with the good percentage of votes, that it was big enough to be put on TV, was a fucking gorilla. It was a fucking gorilla. And then to the point of people coming in my inbox talking about, well, what if Gavin Newsom doesn't get it? I've already answered that for you. I quite literally said, whoever steps up to the plate.
Correct.
Will get my vote to do the job. If he doesn't win, if he doesn't win the nomination, so fucking be it. Whoever steps up to the plate to do the job, because I want progress, not stagnation.
Exactly.
And the other point of that is, get a fucking grip. Do you think the next president is going to be able to undo everything this criminal in chief has done in one term? Hell, in 2 fucking terms. And let's put this in perspective. A term is only 4 years. If you stand for nothing, you will fall for anything. And to Nin in the comment sections, telling me to stop and not coming up here to use your voice is a different situation. If you want to talk about it, we can talk about it. I'm a friendly bee. I just hate people that pedestalize their own moralities without any sort of backbone. That's just not what I do. I've never given a fuck, and I will never give a fuck. I used to be on this platform a lot. I got these followers because I used my voice actively. And some of y'all reminded me today why I stopped doing that, because you don't listen. And if you don't like the way the words come out of my mouth, that's the problem when you go to the polls. Because instead of listening to what's being said, listening to comprehend and understand, you listen to your feelings and you vote based on those without looking at the fucking actualities. And if you don't like the way it sounds coming from me, there are people with a lot worse fucking voices that say the same shit I said. Grow up.
Preach. I love
Bye.
you, friend. Thanks for coming back. I appreciate you. Talk to you soon. Again, I just need to remind folks, there are people in the chat now saying, so you're saying that I should vote for a moderate? Yes. What part of this do you not understand? I think Buzzy's point about Bernie is a perfect example. Perfect example. Why is it so difficult to grasp the concept of harm reduction? Why is that so just wildly out of scope for your thinking? Why? Why is that? Why is that the case? Because it makes no sense to me. Hi, Cass.
Hi, Steve. Okay, so as Steve can tell you, I am very much an independent, although I do tend to caucus with Democrats because Republicans are batshit fucking insane, and I feel everybody on that. There's just no fucking way, right? Like, I can't vote for these chuds. But here's what I'll get into. I do agree with Buzzy to the extent that it's all about your place and your timing, right? So I live in rural West Texas. I live in the oil field area. If I were to, say, be running a campaign and run a candidate on an environmental platform, do you know how hard they would fucking fall and fail? We wouldn't even get donations, let alone be able to run. And that's what the point is. New York City is a very progressive area. And I'm not saying everybody there is, but I'm saying Mom Donnie had the energy and the ability to prevail there. Whereas if he were to run in my city, he would fall flat on his face. Of course. And it's because you have to know the area you're in. I'm not telling anybody they have to go vote for a moderate. I'm only saying know the area you are at. Do not hurt yourself by either not voting or not getting involved. And the only other point I wanted to make is that if you feel like the Democratic Party isn't representing you, and it doesn't fully represent me, so please believe I'm taking my own advice. Go get involved with your local party. Go change it from the ground level. Demand what you want. Run for chair. Do you know how many rural areas don't even have a chair, or they don't have people in there who know what the younger people in their area want? Go do those things. If they're not representing you, make sure you are there making them represent you. And that was the only point I wanted to make. Know where you're at, and also get involved locally, because the only way that they will represent you is if you demand it. Otherwise, they just don't care, because parties stink like that. They need you to get out there and tell these kind of old fogies, for lack of a better term, what you want, what you need, and what you're demanding from party representation. And I will leave you, Steve. Thank you so much for having me, friend, and I will talk to you soon.
Love you, friend. See you, Cass. Take care. It's a great point, and she is a true independent, no doubt about it. A lot of people use that label, but my friend Cass is a bona fide true independent, no doubt. Comment from Estrella: we need to argue this out now so that we can unite. Yes, please. I don't get it. Now, listen, there's a line, right? I want people to be standing for progressive policies. You guys should know that by now, right? I want people willing to literally bloody their knuckles, figuratively, politically speaking, to defend human rights, to demand women have rights to their bodies, for responsible firearm reform, for healthcare improvements, for education reform. I get all that, and I respect that people believe it. I respect that people don't want to see any more money to Israel. I respect that too. I respect people don't want to see the same issues with corporate money going to both political sides. I understand that too. I respect it. I support it. And when the time comes to cast your vote on election day, if the candidate that is the nominee on the Democratic side doesn't align with all those things, I am asking you to look past your own bias and vote for that person. I love what Oslo said with the tire analogy on the way to Vegas. I also like the idea of simplifying it, saying, look at the Democratic machine as public transportation. Use it to get you as far down the road as possible, but then you have to be willing to do the work to go the rest of the way. That's what this is about. Again, America is not like this because of Donald Trump. Because America is like this is why we got Donald Trump. I'm asking you to think of two words. If you still don't get this, if you still don't get it, there are two words that I want you to remember. Harm reduction. Look at your candidates. Don't run them through the perfection and pearl clutching filter. Look at the two candidates and say, which, I don't like either one. I think they're part of the machine, but which one is going to harm the people that I care about the most, the least? See, Rhiannon, you're proving my point. You're proving my point by saying harm reduction doesn't work. You're literally proving my point right now. If you are resigned to that effect, then you're a lazy voter as well. And that's really unfortunate that you would say that. Have we not been able to learn anything from our black and brown brothers and sisters about how no matter what, they know what to do? They got the fucking note. Naquan, how are you, brother?
What's up, brother? I was listening, and I am 100% on what you and Bugsy said. I'm lucky enough to have a democratic socialist. I live in New York. I'm grateful for it, but I also understand that we can't always get a democratic socialist. We can't get that far right type of person, that far left type of person. So yes, harm reduction does work. It has worked for quite some time. We have to stop with this purity politics that we've been doing for the last decade. A person take $1 from a company like this, it doesn't work as well. but harm reduction do work. It's been working for the black and brown community. And I would prefer not to have harm reduction. But at this very moment, that's what we have. That's what we have. When I vote, I'm a little personal. I'm lucky enough to be well off. But I don't vote for me. I vote for the old lady down the street. I vote for the kid that may go hungry the next day because they short $1 or $2. That's harm reduction. That's harm reduction. I vote so we can get more mental programs to actually benefit people. That's harm reduction. I vote so we can get programs that teach kids that you should be safe in school. That's harm reduction. We're we're leading in mass unaliving. We're leading in mass unaliving. We're leading in kids going hungry. If we vote for people that want to fix that kind of policies and change it just a bit, that can make it harder for people to get pew-pews, make it easier for a kid not to go hungry. That's harm reduction. Again, I'm lucky enough to have a socialist in my city, but we can't always have a socialist, and I understand that. I don't like moderates much, but I also understand having a moderate is better than having another MAGA in there. That's harm reduction.
Exactly.
Naquan,
why is it that your community in particular has gotten that message for decades, and entitled White America doesn't?
It's because we understood, again, when black people were quote unquote free, we was freed with nothing. Not a sack of potatoes, not a land, a house, or nothing. So we understand that if we vote for certain things, we can actually make just enough to make our next generation push forward, so they can make a little bit of more change, and that next generation make a little bit of more change. Most of the people that be like, "Oh, I'd rather just sit out and vote," that's your privilege showing. And I'm saying this as a well-off black man. That's your privilege showing. Because you don't like a person may have took $20 from APAC. Fun fact, most of our candidates take money from PACs. Most of our candidates take money from PAC. Y'all don't look into what they do with that money. A lot of them actually pass it down to the next candidate so they can have some kind of funding to run on. Quite a few of them do that. Do I agree with having money in our politics? No. But if y'all actually would have listened to Hillary and voted for her, she wanted that out. So y'all complaining now about it is your privilege showing.
Well said, bro. Well said. Thank you for your voice, friend. By the way, friends, if you don't follow Naquan, please do. Good man, getting to know him better. Love what you stand for, my friend. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, brother. Always a pleasure.
All right, talk to you soon. I think, yeah, it's just an interesting conversation. I'm just...
End up leaning. You don't need a cape just to help someone win. Do something simple, do something true, or make a sandwich. Do something true, or make a sandwich for a friend. Hold the door for someone too. Facts still matter. It starts with you. Check on your neighbor, share what you can do. One small action turns into a wave. Do something today, be the change that you crave. Facts still matter. It starts starts with you. Facts still matter. It starts with you.
Hello? I can't hear you. Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. So you made a comment that you said that harm reduction doesn't work. What do you mean by that?
Yes. As a platform, it does not work. You have to give people something to vote for, and that's always on the candidate. So you can't blame people sitting home. Kamala didn't give people enough to vote for, to get off the couch. And that's what
Well,
you are
let's back.
fighting against every time.
No, that's okay. Let's. So who did you vote for?
I voted for Kamala because
Okay,
I
so
understood that she was the only one that stood a chance. And that again, because I understand harm reduction, and what I am saying is not, what everybody applies to everybody, because you cannot run on harm reduction. It's just not going to win. And same for
no
Hillary.
one's no, sir. No one said to run on harm reduction. That's not the point. I'm not. I think you missed. I think you missed the plot. Let me see if I can explain it a different way. No one is saying a candidate should go out into the field and say, hey, I'm going to harm you less. What we're talking about is when faced with a choice and you may not have the perfect candidate that checks all your boxes, at that point in time, which one is going to harm you less? That's what harm reduction is.
Correct. And it's 0-2. It keeps losing. It doesn't win. It's not a winner. And that's why I was saying Mamdani, because he's giving people something to vote for. The governor in Virginia is giving something to vote for. It's not just
Yeah, those are
against
states, though.
something.
But those are states, okay? Those are states, right? To Cass's point earlier, if Mamdani was in West Texas, do you think he would have gotten elected?
Okay, and then you're talking about Congress, then
Can you answer my
congressional
question,
picks.
please? Can you answer my question, please? If Mamdani was in West
That's a
Texas, would he have gotten
hypothetical.
elected?
That's a big what if. You can't answer
It's
that.
not.
It is
No,
a big
it's
what
not.
if. You can't answer that.
Please listen, sir.
That's a
Please
false
listen.
equivocation.
Listen,
You can't
my
answer
guy.
it.
No, it's my friend. Listen,
That's
I'm
a big what
asking
if.
you. My guy. Can you please stop for a second and just try to answer the question? Do you think Zohran Mamdani's policies and his policy platform, and being what he is, a democratic socialist, do you think he could have won an election in West Texas?
Why does that matter, though?
Can
If
you
he
just
could
answer the
win West
question?
Texas.
Can you answer the question? Because I'm trying to make a point here.
Yes, he could
The
win.
answer is
Yes. Yes, he could.
no,
Prove
he
it.
could not.
Prove it. Prove it. Prove it.
Okay.
Prove it. Prove your own hypothetical. Prove it.
So, okay, I can easily prove it. I can easily
prove
prove
it.
because West Texas is highly conservative and votes
When's the last time a
Republican.
Democrat won Texas?
That's the fucking point, dude.
Okay, but I'm saying it's not even on the table. It's not even needed to win. Biden won without winning Texas. So what's the point? Biden won without winning Texas. Biden won. And then she was talking about Idaho. When's the last time a Democrat won Idaho? Who cares? You don't need it to win.
It wasn't talking about Idaho. Oh my
She
God, you're
kept
not
bringing
smart
up
enough for this
Idaho.
conversation.
She kept bringing up Idaho.
She was talking about time and a place.
But you don't need to win Idaho. You don't need to win Texas to win.
You don't get it, bro. Can you tell me what you had for breakfast today?
Parfait.
Nobody fucking cares. Are you kidding me? Like, what? Oh my God. The point is, Zohran Mamdani would have never won. He would not have been elected mayor in, I don't know what a West Texas town is, El Paso, right? There's no way he would win under the current conditions to be the mayor of El Paso. The point is, when faced, I can't believe people actually think I'm advocating for running on harm reduction. Have I not made myself clear? Smartest chat on TikTok? Have I said that you should run on harm reduction? No. I'm talking about the analogy that Ash talked about, that Oslo talked about, that Cass talked about, that Buzzy talked about. We're talking about when the time comes. Now, how about advocating for people? How about advocating for people to get more down ballot progressives elected so that you can have that conversation during the primaries? And then if your candidate doesn't win, right? If your candidate doesn't win the primary, then what do? You vote for the person who will harm your community and the neighbors around you less. It's not that complicated. It's really not that complicated. Yet here we are, still fighting over the same shit. Like, give me a break. Hey, Dean, how are you?
Oh, frustrated. Listening to that last dude was tiring and only has like 3 minutes up there. But one thing the Democrats always done very poorly, well, at least since the 70s, is play the long game. I mean, the Republicans, we're here where we are because the Republicans have played the long game since Richard Nixon resigned. And they knew that taking the school boards and the city councils and the board of supervisors, all that was going to eventually lead to where they are now. And Democrats have always been, we have to win now. We need progressivism now. We need this now. We need the president now. And it's right now. Do you think apparently Alito is going to retire before the midterms so that they can put another 40 something, ideologue onto the Supreme Court that's going to take another generation to get out. So do you think that universal health care or, some of these really nice progressive policies that we want to put in are going to fly right now? No. But it's getting closer to where we need to get and electing the people at every level that can get us close to where we need to get and not worrying about, oh gosh, I don't like X policy, but I like all the other stuff, but I'm still not going to vote for him because I don't like the one thing. And people are already starting to complain about Mamdani. So, he didn't appoint the one guy to the city commissioner of this that I really wanted. So he's not doing what I wanted. So maybe I shouldn't have voted for him. And it's like, Jesus, the circular firing squad the Democratic Party has is nonstop.
Yeah, I mean, and I want to address that. My intention today was the question: is it possible for the left to unite? And what I'm realizing right now is that there's a lot of work that has to be done on the political left, right? The idea behind the fact that we are still holding on to these purity tests for candidates, that we're not getting exactly what we want. No one despises the military industrial complex more than me. I despise money in politics. I don't like our relationship with the I country. I despise all those things. I am progressive. I'm also pragmatic enough to know that if I checked out because my candidate doesn't support all the things that I do, then we're not going to make progress. That's the point. That is the point here. I'm not calling people out for being on the left. I'm calling people out to say, if you really care about these things, then you've got to be willing, to your point, to play the long game. That's what Republicans have been doing for 50 years. They've been playing the long game. We seem to want this immediate gratification that if everything's going to change if I elect a progressive and that's it. No, it's going to take a generation or two. That's the point.
Yeah, it's that philosophy of that the man that plants a tree that he's never going to sit under, has truly figured out life.
Yeah, exactly right. We need to be willing. You've got to be willing to say, okay, I cannot fix this overnight. If you want to change, if you want more candidates on the Supreme Court, liberal-leaning candidates on the Supreme Court, then you better be sure that you're electing enough progressives in the Senate that agree, right? And if you don't, you still have to take the chance that they're going to be better off than the candidate before them or their Republican counterpart. I don't know why it's that complicated. Maybe I'm complicating it too much, but I just don't understand why it's so complicated.
No, I've been like you for a long time, Steve. The pragmatic progressive, and I have so many friends, like even my own age. They're like, "Well, that's bullshit. You can't get anywhere with them." Like, you can't get anywhere with trying to demand all at once, all the time.
Exactly.
That hasn't happened. That hasn't served us at all forever.
Yeah, and again, I'm not up here. I'm not trying. Well, actually, I am. I am trying to throw some shade at the left because this is the issue. There are more of us in this country that believe the things that we do, but people checking out. And then in particular, a lot of leftists in the last election who didn't like Kamala's stance on Israel. She lost, and they left the country. What does that say? I mean, what does that say?
Yeah,
that is the epitome of privilege, right?
Yeah, I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I'm like, but electing a fascist again, is that going to get us anywhere?
Exactly.
Come on, or voting for the Cicada candidate or Chase Oliver or whoever the hell else people were casting there. Well, but yeah, I like his policies better, even though there's no possibility he's going to win. You're an idiot.
And sometimes this is maybe beyond gentle parenting. Maybe this is tough love, but I'm just getting people. I have to remind folks what's at stake here and why these are harmful decisions that you might be making. Again, I respect your views. I respect what you support idealistically. I really, really do, because we align in the same things for the most part. But when the time comes, when it's the most important, where are you? Thanks for jumping in today, Dean.
Exactly. Good to see you, Steve.
You too, man. See you later. Yeah, I know that this is a divisive topic, and I get it. There's even some division within our mod chat, and I respect that. That's the whole point. What we're trying to remind people of is that the Democratic Party, the GOP, going back to Reagan, actually during the 70s, once women got rights to their body, at that point in time, through Roe, at that point in time, the Heritage Foundation, the religious right, etc., they decided, you know what? We've got to figure out a way over the next 2 generations or more to try to push back on this shit. They chipped away at the court system. They chipped away at states' rights at the legislative perspective. They chipped away at this. They chipped away at that. They invested in the long game. And if we're not willing to do that, then how are we going to fix it? If you're not willing to say this candidate is far from perfect, and as far as I'm concerned, there's no such thing as a perfect candidate. There's not. And moderate Democrats bore the shit out of me. But I could look at Joe Biden, I could look at Donald Trump, and I would vote for Joe Biden a million fucking times because he's just a decent person and he wouldn't fucking harm the country. And sure, relationships with big oil, I fucking despised it. No doubt about it. But look what we got. We got investments in infrastructure. We got investments in chips and science. We got reductions in cost of pharmaceuticals for seniors. This is the kind of stuff we're talking about. And then you elect down ballot Democrats, down ballot progressives, and you make changes. That's what this should be about for people. I want people just to really think about this differently. That's what I'm asking for. Just think about it differently. Good morning, hanging with. How are you?
Good. How are you? I'm Kelly.
Hi, Kelly.
I just wanted to say, and someone just brought it up in the comments, but voting in small local elections and electing, the more progressive candidates, the ones that are, from the far left parties, gets people used to it, because people don't think that the school board has that much power, or that, the comptroller has that much power. Half these positions go uncontested. And my stepfather ran for the school board in his county, and he didn't run against anyone. So he didn't have to spend any money. He got elected. He is a MAGA, so I'm not happy about that. But, doing these kinds of things and getting these ideas out there so that people are getting used to it, are more likely later to vote in a bigger election for someone who is a democratic socialist, because it doesn't sound as scary, because they didn't, teach trans whatever in school, or whatever crazy shit those people are saying. And that's, I just think, like, if we start there, that it will be easier to elect a woman to be president. I mean, God forbid we have a woman be president, or someone who is more progressive, who is not owned by APAC and stuff like that. And that's really all I wanted to come up and say.
I appreciate that. Thanks for jumping in today. Thanks, Kelly.
Thanks.
Yeah, I mean, it's something just interesting comment in the chat. I think what maybe people are doing on the left, and it's a great question. I think Prank can bring it up. Thanks for bringing it up, Tiff. I feel like people on the left are thinking that if they can get a Democratic Socialist elected tomorrow for the presidency, that we can fix things in 4 years. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe that's the disconnect. That's impossible. That is just absolutely impossible. Again, that's where the pragmatist, the progressive, the pragmatic progressive part of me creeps in. The issue is we have to be willing to invest in structural change. Will I see it in my lifetime? Maybe. No, techno-pagan, you speak for other communities. You're not welcome back. When you can clear that up and not speak for other communities, then we can have a conversation. But you chose to speak for communities that you don't represent. So you're not welcome here until you clear that shit up. We've got to be willing to invest in change, structural change. I've said this before. I go back and forth between being a nihilistic progressive and a pragmatic progressive. By nature, I'm pragmatic, right? But part of me is like, got to burn the whole fucking system down, right? I know, sadly, that under perfect conditions, marginalized communities are the ones that are always harmed. So what would it be like if the entire system came burning down? Right? That's the issue. We just have to be willing to invest in a system, in a systemic change to our system. And that's going to require people on the left who are absolutely, I'm convinced, are on the right side of history because of the things that you support. So stop being so, lack of a better term, entitled and apathetic, and just realize that if we want things to be better for our children and their children, then we've got to be willing to do the work now. That's the point. Maybe that's a better way to frame it. Can't fix it overnight. Hey, bro, how are you?
Hey, you're right, and I'm glad that you just said what you said. We have the data that shows the amount of time that change takes, right? So I think the issue is, and something we don't talk about, right, is capitalism plays a role in politics that's not fun to talk about because it's boring. So I'll keep it short. We are a nation of consumers. We are able to grab our supercomputers in our hand and order whatever we want, whenever we want, and it shows up at our doorstep. That now has translated, I believe, into the psyche of people thinking, well, if I vote for this person, they better change shit in 4 years. No one can do that. That is mathematically impossible. You can't. Stop conflating consumerism with politics and your needs. You and I have talked about this.
Yeah.
I don't vote for myself.
Nope.
I don't vote for me. Why? I'm 59 years old. What do I have to vote for? What do I need that I don't have? Right? I vote for my daughter. I vote for your daughter, right? So that they have a shot at having basic human rights that the purity tests folks among us have denied them to have. If we didn't have the type of people that were so selfish and self-centered every time they went to the ballot box, you wouldn't have this conversation. The left may not be the left may not be united. By the way, I give that about a 35% chance at best.
Okay. It's better than zero. I'll work with 35%.
Yes, but we have to have a baseline from which to work from.
Correct.
Right? And I get it. Yep. Listen, folks in the comments that are here all the time, there are trolls and rage baiters in there, and they're just trying to get you to react, which is twofold. One, it's really good for the live because interaction means that we get on the FYP of other people. But also keep in mind that they're counting on an emotional reaction from
Correct.
you, right? Concerned citizen is an example of somebody rage baiting and trolling you, right? They soft you in and then they try to give you a rabbit punch to the kidneys. Don't fall for it. Go ahead and
No.
talk to them, right? Because again, we want to be on people's FYP. But please think about voting for somebody else other than yourself. That's all,
I
right?
have an analogy that might work for people, because I think, go back to what I said earlier about how a lot of people in the chat, thanks again, Tiff, think that we can fix this overnight. What conservative politics have done with Donald Trump is they grabbed the most beautiful piece of china that you have, and it took them a second to throw it on the floor and smash it.
Right.
Pieces are scattered everywhere. You're not going to be able to put that plate back together at the same rate that it was smashed. There has to be a willingness to commit to the time to do it. Again, we may not see universal health care in our lifetime, but our kids hopefully will.
Yeah.
Their kids hopefully will. That's the long game that I'm hoping people on the left are willing to play. That's
and
it.
I agree. Hey,
Thank
one
you.
thing, and then you can drop me.
Yeah.
I posted in the mod chat my Substack writing on
I saw
food as a right from a historical
Yeah.
perspective and a
I
legal
love it.
framework perspective. So I think
I love it.
maybe for this Gen X palate cleanse coming up this weekend, if you have time, maybe we can just walk through it.
Sure. I love it. It was great, by the way.
Okay.
Well done.
Thank you.
I love you.
I need to get with you about substacking because it's confusing. But anyway.
Yeah, no, we talked about it. Well, yeah, we have a lot of work to do there, but we'll get there, bro.
Yeah.
I love you,
Okay.
man.
Appreciate you. Love you.
All right.
Peace out.
See you. Bye. I think that's what it is, though. I think that's what it is. And again, I would not trade these conversations that we have here for everything. Even in the mod chat, even what's happening there, we're kind of challenging, not necessarily the messaging lands. And I fucking love it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Just proving, just because of the fact that we don't generally have a lot of opposition doesn't mean that we can't be an echo chamber, because of course we can. But what I'm seeing is people that I know who are challenging my convictions on things. And I want that shit. We can't fix this overnight. We can't. It's impossible. We may not fix it in 2 election cycles or 3 or 4 election cycles. But there's got to be a willing to commit to doing the work. That's what this should be about. And it seems like maybe that's the issue. Maybe people feeling like if I get this Democratic Socialist elected tomorrow, then shit's going to change. No, because then that depends what the complexion of Congress is. That depends on how much there's a willingness for members of the Senate to change the filibuster so that we can get a constitutional amendment to pack the courts. All these kinds of things have to happen. The conservatives, the Christian right, the white nationalists, they said, we're in for the long haul. And they waited. And they waited. And they waited. So that part, I think, is maybe the piece that's missing. I hope people can get it a little bit, but it's going to take some time. We just need people to be willing to do the work, plain and simple. Hi, Jess. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to say I appreciate what you do because of you and a couple of other creators, I've really kind of involved myself in, I'm volunteering for my Democrat running for Congress, and I'm trying to,
That's awesome.
Get more involved. I spent the first 30 years of my life, I grew up in Los Angeles, and due to just life situations, I'm now in Blood Red, Arkansas. So it's a little difficult out here, and I just want to say it's so obvious everywhere I go, the lack of education and the it's like night and day, and I think that also kind of motivated me to get a little more involved. And one more thing quickly, I've got like a personal I really have a dislike for Newsom, but if he is the candidate, he'll get my vote regardless.
Of course. That's the point. That's exactly the point. That's exactly the point, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I wanted to say. Even though I do not like him with a passion, he granted parole to the man who unalived my mother. So I don't even with that. I'm gonna vote for the sake of everybody. So thank you for what you do. I hope to maybe get to meet you when you go on this tour, if you make it here. And
I'll be there eventually. Thank you for saying that.
Thanks,
you. Jess. I appreciate you very much. Have a good day. Be safe out there. I mean, think about that, right? This is. I think that's what it is, right? I think that's. Texas, by the way, Texas early voting starts today. Are you ready to vote in your primary? Vote early from today through the 27th. Election day is March 3rd. Texas, please. I think that's what it is. I think that's what it is. I think it's the impatience. I think because we see what's happened and we want it fixed tomorrow. I'm one of those people, I've got like 5 or 6 different projects going on around my house at the same time. And I get frustrated when one's not done. So I move on to the next one. And then that one's not done and they build up. And I think that's kind of what this is about. And I kind of like the analogy of Trump grabbed the plate, threw it on the ground and smashed it into a million pieces. It took a second to destroy it. It's going to take decades to fix it. And are we willing to do the work? Are we willing to say, this person is not perfect? I don't like the DMC. I don't like moderates, but I know full well that they're going to harm my community less. And even if it's not me personally, it's going to help other people. Right? I think that's the point. What's this? I love these conversations. I really appreciate everybody for doing this. This is the work we got to do, friends. These are the conversations we have to have. Good morning, Lulu. How are you today?
I'm good. I love you, and I want to thank you for being the voice of women and Black, because
you've got a lot of background noise, Lulu. Can you clean up that background noise for us, friend?
Sorry.
Please.
Is that better?
It's okay. Okay. That's better. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Thank you.
So I wanted to really address Techno Pyro, or Techno, whatever his name is. Techno, the guy that came up here to try to speak for us. And I'm glad you shut that down. I'm glad you shut that down, because he doesn't understand that we aren't sitting this out. But what we have done for generations is try to get people to understand what they are voting for, because of what we had to go through, my ancestors had to go through to get to where we are. And so 92% of us, women, and then 78, 80% of Black men, we all knew the assignment. So what Techno can do is talk to his friends, unite them, and get them all on the same page, because we were all on the same page. But you have women who I really thought was going to go for Kamala and then slap us in the face and turn around and voted for Trump. Like, I don't understand why they did that. But they were so rah-rah about Kamala. I've seen it over and over and over. But then the numbers don't lie. They did not show up. So we are not sitting this out, but he has to also understand that there's a point where we can't get into it right now. I can only imagine if there was an abundance of Blacks and Mexicans coming into this whole party to fight along with them. Techno and his friends need to take charge. They need to take the lead. And we will definitely follow, because I'm not sitting out this, but I know that there's a time and a place on when I can join this fight. And I'm going to be ready for it. Trust me, I'm going to be ready for it. But he has to start somewhere, and he needs to unite his friends and his, the women on his side that he knows. Have these conversations, because it won't make a difference if we're saying it. I can't come up to a white woman and say, "Hey, let me tell you about why you should vote for people other than yourself, people that look like me or brown people or anyone else," because it needs to come from a white man to white people. That's the only way it's going to be effective. That's all.
We talk about this a lot, Lulu. Thank you for your voice, by the way. I appreciate it. We talk about this a lot about how every single time democracy's been under threat, air quotes, it's always been Black women leading the charge. Every time in my lifetime, I don't ever remember a time where it wasn't.
Yeah.
So here we are. The two demographics that continue to hold us back are white men and white women.
Yeah.
I am very, very clear in my claims about how white men need to step the fuck up. I can't speak to white women. Other white women need to do that. But I want people in the chat to listen to what our friend just said. That they'll be there. She will show up. Her community will be there. Because let's be real. The system works against Lulu every single day. And she's still going to go out there and vote for what's going to harm her community less.
I have
Am I wrong about
grandkids.
that?
I have 2 grandkids now. I have a leg in this fight. I'm 50 years old. So, it is what it is. But my grands and the next generation who I just want to get involved. Get out there and get involved in something. Like, I'm so passionate about this because I'm sorry. It was such a devastating
apologize.
blow when Kamala lost. It was such a blow because we knew what this was going to do to our country. I knew what this was going to do to my grands. I have one that looks like a Mexican, and then I have one that looks like a little white boy. So I have a lot to lose in this fight too. So I just want everybody to understand that this is so important, like so important. The perfect candidate does not exist. But if we can get a candidate if we can find someone to get into office, get them to where we want to get them, and we can maneuver stuff around, and we can infiltrate this party. We can get the Democratic Party to bend at our will if enough of us rise up and vote that way. We can.
So well said. Thank you for your voice today, friend.
And I love you.
I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Love you back. Have a great day. Be safe out there. That's the point, right? They're invested. We talked about this right after what happened in regard to the situation with Alex Preddy, and we talked about how Black women, Black people in general, just move differently, and the lessons that we need to learn from them. I wrote about it. It's on a Substack post. Go check it out. And here we are again. It's the same message. They got the assignment. White America hasn't gotten the assignment. You break that down even further, and a lot of people on the left, again, would align ideologically with a lot of the same things, but we can't fix it overnight. We can't. There's got to be a willingness to commit. From a political science perspective, from my side, to Buzz's point, it's not top down, it's bottom up. You elect a candidate. I want boring in the White House. And then you are working to get campaign finance reform. You are working to elect down ballot progressives into state houses, progressives into governor's mansions, so that they can then put progressive judges on the courts. So then you can rewrite gerrymandering laws. You can have progressives that would support independent, federalized, independent congressional district drawers. So there's no more gerrymandering. This is what it takes. This is the long game. I'm 58. I got more behind me than I have in front of me. So other people have to start thinking this way too. And I just want people who are willing to say, okay, I get it. I get it. I gotta change my belief set. Keep your passion, keep your energy in defense of marginalized communities, but stop feeling like you're gonna fix it overnight, because that broken plate ain't going to fix itself, and you're likely not going to be able to fix it with just the Craggle, if you know the Lego movies. It's going to take complete structural change, and that's not going to happen overnight. To use J.D. Vance's famous quote, you can't turn the Titanic overnight. He probably still doesn't realize what he said there, but anyway, I'll just bring up, folks, I love where this is going today. as is the case, the smartest chat on TikTok. This is what you get. Which is Pink? How are you today?
I'm well, thanks. Thanks for accepting my request. I
which one
appreciate
is
you.
which one's Pink? I got it. No problem. I got it. I just got your username.
It's all good. It's
Pink.
all good.
Okay.
I appreciate you and what you're doing here. I believe it to be very valuable. I did request about Tallarico, right?
Yeah.
My belief is that this is an opportunity for a principled vote because it's a primary, and the opportunity to truly take action and listen to black women. James Tallarico is more of the same. He is an evangelical minister in a seat of power and authority, seeking greater power and authority. And historically speaking, that has been a bad choice. And so I trust Texas to make the right choice for Texas. But this is an important moment to be able to exercise a principled vote from that perspective and get behind the candidate that is nationally speaking out, talking about the harms being inflicted on the nation. And James Tallarico is more of the same, the diminishing status quo. So I appreciate the moment.
Well, let me ask you the same question, though. If James Tallarico becomes a Democrat nominee for the Senate up against John Cornyn or Ken Paxton, who are you voting for?
Certainly Tallarico would be the only rational choice for me to make.
Exactly. That's the assignment. Right? I would completely campaign for, knock doors, fundraise, phone bank for Jasmine Crockett all day long. Absolutely. If she gets the nomination, great. If she doesn't and it becomes Tallarico, then you know the assignment. Right?
Certainly. And that's absolutely what I'm advocating for. Our principles we have to hold our principles, but we also have to see the arc of history, right? And we have to understand that it's our responsibility in this moment to set the course for that arc of history.
Yeah, I mean, and again, I would ask you to kind of look at it, because have you read anything that James Tallarico has written and what his stances are? Sure, we can say he's a pastor, but he's also been very critical of capitalists. He's talked about how the threats to democracy are billionaires. So I don't agree with you that he's part of the same machine. I don't agree with that at all, as a matter of fact. I think he's in a unique position because he represents things on the left that a lot of people care about, and he's a Christian, proudly, which I think potentially can draw in a lot of right-leaning voters, more conservative, status quo Republicans. So I would be careful bashing him. Instead, maybe just promote Jasmine more.
I understand your position, and I respect what you're saying. I have to be listening to black women in this moment, and black women.
Totally agree.
My understanding is black women have been saying, "Pay attention to history and don't make the same choices." And
totally agree, and I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that at all. Believe me, I don't. I'm just making sure that because we don't want to divide, because we get people that are bashing on Tallarico and Jasmine doesn't get the nomination. My concern is those people who are part of the bashing won't vote for him. That's my point.
I understand.
Thanks for jumping in today.
Thanks for accepting my request. I appreciate you.
You got it. You got it. Have a good day. I think it's a really good. I think that's going to be a true test, right? I love Jasmine. I am concerned that she can't that she can't win in Texas. I'm genuinely concerned. I think we know why. I love her. I absolutely love her. She is the kind of person that we should all want representing us, right? But I should say not but. And if she doesn't get the nomination, do you understand the assignment? Because I've heard this from Hector, I've heard this from others. it's not a question of voter registration in Texas. It's a question of voter suppression, right? And I think the polling is early, right? I just want people to understand that there's a bigger fish to fry, so to speak, as they say. As they say. Everybody keep tapping, please. By the way, friends, if you want to support the Do Something Tour, best way to do that is Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. I haven't checked in a while, but I will in a second. That's what this counter is. If we get $20, at least we'll be above 2K. JB, how are you today?
Oh, I am very good, thank you. I was tapping, and I guess I requested up.
Okay.
But I hear what you're saying. I understand the message. We have to give up the word bad and go with and. We have to get our people in there.
Okay. I don't know what that was, but my head was about to explode. Hello, friend. How are you?
Hello, friend. How are you? I wanted to. Hello, everybody. I'm sorry. The Academy of Facts, but I wanted to speak on something.
Sure.
I wanted to speak on the luxury of not having to vote harm reduction. When we spoke on hi everybody, when we speak on harm reduction, I think those that can vote and don't even have that thought process of having to vote harm reduction is a luxury. And I agree with you totally when you said that there should be people speaking to the Black community as to how to vote in a harm reduction type of situation, because we have been voting in a harm reduction situation since the poll tax of $2 to be able to vote. A lot of people don't know that Black people had to pay $2 at the voting booth just to vote in certain states. And with that being said, can you imagine having to pay a poll tax just to vote? So just that right there, to know that how much $2 was back then, and the fact that they got that $2 and still voted for somebody that probably was racist. Who knows? You get what I'm saying? But because of harm reduction, they chose the choice that will harm them less. We're still going to get harmed. We're still going to get blasted by dogs. We're still going to get blasted by water holes. We're still going to have all these things, but we still got up and voted regardless of. And that was totally due to harm reduction, because there are still 2 white men that we're voting for. So I agree with Facts when he's saying, like, connect with the Black community when it comes to learning how to vote when it comes to harm reduction, because that's all we have done. And I totally agree with the instant gratification that a lot of people have when it comes to wanting what you want from your candidate. However, there is no instant gratification when it comes to rebuilding a democracy that was torn down, or reconstructing a patriarchy that was meant to diminish minorities, whether you're a woman or a Black person or a person of color. I just feel like it's so much deeper. So I feel like, Facts, you're on the right track when it comes to harm reduction. I just feel like a lot of people need to understand that there is another demographic of people that paid a poll tax in order to vote, as well as having to vote in a harm reduction situation. Black people back then wasn't voting to get rid of racism. We kind of knew that wasn't going to happen. But what we did vote for is the capability to go to integrated schools, the capability to be able to go to college. Those are the things that we were voting for. With the thought and the process of knowing that racism is still going to be at hand, if that makes sense. That's just what I wanted to touch base with when it comes to harm reduction, and trying to give an example of what harm reduction is and what it does, and why we have to vote in that way. And unfortunately, in this demographic of people now, white people are also having to even think of a process of voting with harm reduction. Because if you don't, you're going to end up with another Trump. And now we're going to end up having more white people that don't think like the authorities, if you can say. You're now just as, you're in the same pot as black people. So you don't even matter just because your thought process is not of theirs. So now is your turn to learn harm reduction, because now you're on the chopping block as well. If you think like us, or wanting to have the same freedoms as us, they don't see you as somebody who's like need these freedoms. They look at you as somebody like, oh, you're fighting for them, or you're this type of lover. They have their way of thinking, whatever. But like, for example, someone said that Renee Good it's so easy for Renee Good to be shot in the middle of the street is because her thought process is not of theirs. So she no longer holds value to the authority, if that makes sense. Her theory of thought
Makes sense to
process.
me.
Yeah, her theory of thought process and how she maneuvers, being that is for the oppressed, she is less than when it comes to those of higher power in this current regime.
Somebody just asked this question in my mod chat, recovering, and we all love your brain. So thank you for being here, Queen. What would a political revolution look like to you?
A political revolution for me would be white women busting through those voting booths, voting for who they know will help them. I say all the time, no offense, I don't give a fuck who a white man vote for. Because a white man vote don't mean shit without their white woman. So to be honest, if white women learn how to take a hold of their household and become the matriarch in their household, they will feel more comfortable with voting. That's what a political revolution looks to me, is white women taking control of their homes, white women making it clear about how to vote, and voting for their own self-interest and not just the self-interest of their husbands. I am completely against the patriarchy. And I feel like when white women throw the patriarchy in the garbage or shit on it or piss on it or whatever you choose to do with it, that will be a political revolution to me, is it's taking down the patriarchy. But white women are so engulfed in holding up the patriarchy, that I feel like we're going to have, a while to get there. I think we're at the beginning, but white women need to come over here because they were the ones. I mean, the numbers don't lie. The numbers don't lie. And that's to me, because I feel like black women have already shitted on the patriarchy, but it's not enough of us to make a change, if that makes sense. It's enough of us, but not enough of us to make the complete total change that we
Like we were
need.
just talking about. Yeah, like we were just talking about. I think a lot of it comes down to impatience, and I respect that, because we want things to change and we see the things that we know that we want, and I think that's part of it. I think where a lot of this to me, at least where my brain has gone this morning, is that I think people want to change it tomorrow. They see if they like a progressive tomorrow, that person will fix everything. And the advice that I would continue to give is, again, listen to black women. They've been invested for the long game forever. They continue to invest in the long game because they know a system built by people who look like me, to benefit people to look like me, to protect people who look like me, are always going to be there. And yet black women still show up every fucking time and do the right thing by voting for harm reduction.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah. And I know, a lot of times I come up and I bring up and I talk about race is because that's what America was built on. And I think that we overlook that so bad. We overlook it to the point where some of us want to hold this faux story about America when America is literally a cautionary tale. And I feel like people are not looking at it. They're looking at America as a story of freedom, or as a story of, no, don't get me wrong. I get annoyed when people say immigrants built this country. No, black people, slaves built this country.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
I'm not saying that
No doubt.
immigration did not contribute to it. Of course it did. However, until 1960, however, when the Civil Rights Bill was written, until then, it was black people building this country. And that's something that I feel like is so easy to overlook. Why? Because we have been considered a staple in this country a staple. When I say a staple in this country, that means a staple of security, if that makes sense, a staple of
It does.
getting it done. We're here now because you can't send us back anywhere else. We're here just living, if that makes sense. Living in the
Makes
midst
sense to me.
of BS, if that, and I feel like that's why we have, unfortunately, the luxury of knowing how to vote harm reduction is
Thank you,
because of
friend.
our history. But that's all I wanted to say. I'm
I love
sorry.
you, friend. Thanks for being here. I
Love you
appreciate you
too.
very much.
You
Be
welcome.
safe
Have
out
a
there,
good one.
okay? Thanks
You
a
too,
lot. Take
love.
care.
Bye-bye.
Bye. No notes, right? I mean, this is sort of the point. Communities that are under threat every single day get the assignment. What's the number? What did Manny say? 88% of the black community votes for Democrats? And the status quo Democratic Party has never really done any favors for the black community, but the data tells us and their vote tells us that vote harms them less. And they still show up and they still do it. So people on the left who look like me, maybe you can take a page. Maybe you can learn a little bit from. Every time I get smarter when I listen to black women. Just listen, because it's the way that the advice that they give to the white community is you've got to learn to move differently. And that requires patience, especially now. You're not going to fix the plate tomorrow. I may not live long enough to see the plate get fixed. Somebody made a great comment that said, we need to plant the trees now so that they can provide shade for future generations. And I fucking love that. Best time to plant a tree was yesterday. Second best time is today. Takes a while for that tree to grow. Got to water it. Got to make sure it gets sunlight. Got to prune it. Got to take care of it. That might sound ridiculous, but it works for me. Thank you, friends. Keep tapping. Everybody tap like crazy, please. We got a little violation, but that's the part of the deal. Everybody tap like crazy. Please consider gifting. Appreciate you. Hey, Mia, how are you?
Hi, Steve. I'm all right. Slightly irritated. However, that's what we're here for.
Indeed.
So as for the left uniting, I think it is possible when the super, super, super leftists get off their high horse. The purity politics is doing more harm to the communities that they say that they want to protect, and that's why they're protest voting, and that in itself is a privilege, because that just means less harm is coming to that protest voter than the communities that they say that they're protecting. It's false righteousness. It's very much a
privilege.
MAGA. Like, that is exactly what a lot of people are like. It's very hard to see the difference between those people and MAGA, especially when they can't come to terms that they are actually doing more harm to the marginalized communities that they say that they would like to protect, than people who are just oblivious, you know?
Totally agree.
So a big thing that I always talk about is progress, not perfection. And that is me coming from dealing with when it comes to mental health. That comes when working with people with substance use disorder, all these things. And that's the same thing when it comes to politics. We need progress and not perfection, because this moment that we start with the protest voting is that's when we just hand it over to the people who are willing to support and want people like Jeremy Carl to be in our cabinet.
Right. Agreed.
Those are the people
Yeah.
that believe that once us progressives end up in power, that they are going to experience the same atrocities that have been put on marginalized communities. So understanding the history of the demonization of socialism is also very important when you are talking about purity politics. Because the thing is, you sitting there saying that, hey, we just need to put up this like major lefty for the biggest office out like in the government, and thinking that that's going to sway everybody and convince everyone. People still believe that socialism harms
I know.
these black and brown countries, and that's why you need to bring in the capitalism. That's why these nations end up being colonized. So the sooner people wake up and understanding that, like, we need to reframe what socialism is. We need to rename it, because going back to the Reagan era and the Bush era, HW, you need to understand that there was legitimately a poll or polling done that talked about welfare as welfare and the way we know it. However, when they ask questions about so basically social programs, but by defining them rather than putting a label on them, the positive ratings actually
Hey, Mia.
skyrocketed. Go
Mia,
ahead.
I want to. I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt. I want to give you the keys to the car for a second because I got to.
Okay, that's
Somebody's
fine.
at my door. I got to go answer that.
You're
I'll be
fine.
right. I'll be right. Go. Keep going. You're cooking.
It actually skyrockets of how the negative impact of quote unquote welfare programs to actually defining what social programs do for the people by the people. And that skyrocketed up to, I think, like between probably 50 and 70%. I was listening to it in the car, so I didn't get to write it down. So we have to take the stepping stones to be able to have our rest stops on this giant road trip. We can't make a road trip across the country and not expect to stop for gas. And I say this by the stopping for gas is knowing that we need to go for harm reduction. We need to make sure that if our ideal candidate isn't there, then the next best one is. Because if we sit there and like set this one out, people like me are the ones that get harmed. People like me are the ones that disappear. And I'm saying this on this here internet as a bisexual Black woman. Bisexuals have gotten erased in executive land of the branches, right? And on top of that, people who do not identify as heterosexual, especially when it comes to the the VA system, are more at risk for losing their benefits, even though they sign the same dotted line a heterosexual person has. Same thing with a person of color. They are more at risk at losing their benefits if they sign the same dotted line as someone of of YT or YT passing complexion has. So I need people to understand that it's absolutely progress versus progression. I mean, progress versus perfection. Like,
Perfection.
you have
Yep.
to continue working from the ground up. You want to see a change, start in your community. And Recovering has done great things before me, and that she basically got everything that I wanted to say and been waiting to say. But understanding the history between harm reduction, understanding the history of the demonization of socialism, is understanding that you have to work your way up. You sit there and you fight people on trickle down economics. Understand that you also have to know that the trickle down politics does not work.
It sure doesn't. Love you, friend. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate you
Thank
being here.
you.
Have a good day. Be safe
You
out there.
too.
Oh, sorry. I hate when I do that. Jess brings up a good point in the chat about how the marginalized communities and just in general are the best ones to understand harm reduction and what the assignment is. And I think that's why perhaps it's so difficult for people on the left, white people on the left, to understand collectively what that means, right? And the Black community has played the long game, and they're still playing it every single day. At the end of the show today, I'm going to play Jesse Jackson's famous speech, so please stay tuned for that. This is a great conversation, guys. Like I said, I love this chat so much because we can have these conversations here. And yeah, it was emotional, but it should be, and that's the whole point. Barbie, how are you today?
Hi, I'm all right. How are you?
Fine, thank you. And what's on your mind?
Well, so I was hearing Cindy all upset about David Jolly earlier, and I wrote down just some quick thoughts real fast. So that's why it might sound like I'm reading, because I am.
Okay.
So this is where I'm coming from, and where millions and millions of us who are marginalized and unseen are coming from. So I used to be a workhorse at the top of all of my fields. I am now chronically ill and disabled with ME/CFS from mono, which, by the way, ME/CFS is now what long C19 is quickly turning into. So I'm disabled, okay. I'm chronically ill, I'm at home. My 82-year-old senior mother is my caretaker, and we are two women in poverty. So there are plenty of us who have already been dealing with identification issues and accessibility for months and months already. Regarding efforts like the SAVE Act, for just one instance, if millions of voters will become ineligible, your vote is worth way more weight now. So don't be prissy about it. Now, even if we retain all the voters, still don't be prissy about it. And in the future, I hate to break it to everybody, but a third-party candidate would not be perfect. A fourth-party candidate would not be perfect. This isn't the time to be wishy-washy and picky. At this time, especially in history, let's forget about focusing on minor details and get perspective. Pan way out. There's no perfect, just good enough. There's no perfect, just good enough. Cindy. Everybody just get on the same page for a second. Are you going to let the mouth breathers win again? No, we're not doing that. There's no room for perfection here. It's politics. There are no perfect candidates. There are no perfect people. There are no perfect voters. Just be humane. If you can vote, it is your job now more than ever. The only goal is to be more passionate voting blue than the worst MAGA is passionate voting for Trump. That's all.
Thank you, Barbie. I appreciate you very much for being here.
Thank you.
Be safe out there.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
All right, bye.
You too. Bye.
No notes. The only thing perfect, in my opinion, is the smell of a baby's head. I don't think there's a more perfect thing in the world than that smell. She's absolutely right. Absolutely right. This is what we're talking about. This is exactly what we're talking about. And I never thought about what she said. The third party candidate's not going to be perfect. The fourth party candidate's not going to be perfect. So why not use that same logic and let that apply to the candidate that has a legitimate shot at winning and just vote for them? Perfection is the enemy of good. Could not agree more. Everybody keep talking, please. Yes, and puppy's breath? Yes, I would agree. Hello there, Kima. How are you today?
Hey there, how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thanks for being
Can you hear
here.
me?
I
Oh,
can, yes.
absolutely. Wonderful. I'm just now getting on and just hearing some of the comments, which is great. So I don't even know what the general topic is, but I wanted to chat about something that the young lady who talked about harm reduction had said, and then you said something which was pretty awesome. So she was talking about harm reduction and how we as people of color have to vote that way. And you said something to the effect of, white people want things to happen quickly. And it made me think of this, which I totally agree with you. The existence that you all have been able to have in this country is that the rules bend to you all. You all don't have to bend to the rules. And that's what you all have been used to, whether it is, I've worked for so many unqualified white men. It is crazy. and a lot of them will just in
Me
conversation
too.
just talk about how, I was, just the last person standing. I was the friend of such and such and such. And I got this. When I was working on a film one time, this guy, he's got to be like in his 70s or 80s, met this executive at a party. The dude was drunk and he told the guy, I think I want to work on a TV show. Walks into the guy's office the next day, gets the job, and everyone had to train him. And so I think what you all are used to is that with the stroke of a pen, whether it's a law or a check or something, you all will be put in an advantageous position, not having to work for it, not understanding the sacrifice that has been made by everyone else who has to abide by the rules. They just move the goalpost. So in sports, it's this way, then here comes Tiger Woods, and now they change the game. In ice skating, that now you can't do the backflip. In tennis, now these rules are changing. So every time we enter into an arena where the rules are set in stone, we people of color, when we exceed the roadblocks that have been put before us, now the rules change. So now we're under this administration where, it's not just the Mexicans who are being targeted. And it's crazy when people talk about illegal immigration, undocumented people. I don't know. They think the dictionary you just open it up and all of a sudden it's supposed to be a Mexican face. That's the way people operate, because whenever they talk about illegal immigration and undocumented individuals, they immediately think Mexicans, not Canadians, not Asians, not people from not French, not Spaniards, none of those people. It's always a brown skinned Mexican face that people think of. And now that the lines have been blurred, which is what we said it's going to happen. What's that moniker that says, you didn't stand up when that person was getting attacked and this person was getting attacked. And now that you're getting attacked, there's nobody here to defend you. Now that it has now spilled over into the average white American's life. Now all of a sudden, oh my goodness, what is going on? This is not the America that I know. Of course it's not the America that you know, because the America that you know has always given concession to you. You didn't say anything when the little black kids and little brown kids were being treated differently in the school. No, because your little white children weren't being treated differently. You didn't say anything when you knew you were unqualified for a job and you got it, but you called us a DEI hire. Now, all of a sudden, these rules are blanketed because, see, what we told you all is that you all don't matter to them because you're not wealthy, but you were convinced that you mattered to them because you were white. And now that the wealthy are really telling you to your face, and some people still don't want to believe it, but now that they're saying you really don't matter, we're just gonna pass all these laws and change all the rules and take away your funding, and we're gonna take away the things that help you in your normal life. Now all of a sudden it's worthy of a conversation. Now I saw somebody's video and they were like, say her name, the young lady who was pew-pewed by the frozen people, and the person who was talking was like, hold on, we're the ones who started that with Tamir Rice and Sandra Bland. And now all of a sudden we got to say the names. Because when y'all say never forget, y'all talking about 9/11. But when we say never forget, we're talking about just recent stuff, not even slavery that was years ago, because that's y'all buck against that. When we say, hey, just don't forget what we've gone through today. No, we can't do that until it impacts you all. So I just want to come up and say that because you said something that really triggered that idea. You all are just used to the world bending to you, like the freaking airbenders. That's what it is. Y'all used to go in and whoosh, wow, a paka boom, pada bing. Exactly. Yeah. And everything changes to your bidding, or someone more powerful gives you a pass, makes an excuse for you, allows you in the front door. You don't even have to come through the back door like we do. You're just allowed to walk in with the people who are supposed to be there, who work to be there. And now that it's no longer like that, now you all talking about, oh no, we're in Handmaid's Tale. Handmaid's Tale is what happened to Black and indigenous people. And I haven't even seen the series. My sister was watching it when she was here at my house recently. But based upon what people have said, The Handmaid's Tale sounds to me like what was done to Black people and indigenous people as this country was being created. Now, those in the comments, y'all can correct me because I haven't seen it yet. But that's what I'm thinking. And now all of a sudden, it's this new repackaged branding of a thing. And now it's a new idea. No, America does not change its playbook. It just recycles it. And you all get caught up occasionally. And then you vote just enough to get you out of the fire. Just enough, not to get everybody out. You vote just enough to get yourselves out of it. And then we go back to business as usual. Something, and this is my last thing. There was a white person, a white woman on TikTok that said, can we go back to, or she tweeted it because I saw the tweet. She said, can we go back to regular police brutality? Well, what the John Brown is regular police brutality? For 500, Alex, it is when police brutality only affects Black and brown people. For 500. Not that police brutality in general is bad. You all just want the rules to stay in place so you don't get splashed and burned by the fire. But it's okay for everybody else to experience it. That's all.
No notes. Thank you
No
for being
notes.
here, friend.
You're so welcome.
I
Thank
appreciate you.
Absolutely. You can swoosh me down.
Day.
Thank you.
You got it. Be safe out there. Jess, I agree. We don't deserve Black women. We in white America certainly don't. Damn.
Hi.
Hi, Kate. How are you today?
Hi, I'm good, thank you. I hope you're well. Hi to everybody. I just popped up to say there's programming to this. You know, when you heard Trump all through his rally and, you know, I'll do this on the first day, this will get done on the second day, you know, and he had everything done in a week. That was heavily programmed to people. And we're all programmed to an extent to this sort of 3-second, 5-second video reel mentality. So I think it's even sped up that programming, that demand, that not wanting to plant a seed and know that you might not see the full tree, but you know that a grandchild will, or anybody will, you know, that there's programming to it. So there's a lot of deprogramming that has to happen from a marketing point of view. I think as a safety precaution, you know, for promises that can be made to radicalized people. But just for everybody else, you know, things like journaling, things like that would ground you, actually help us as well with self-reflection to deprogram and get used to that eternal space, you know, where we turn everything off, and also helps us get through this chaos because everybody's feeling the wrath of this chaos. So just things like that, we can deprogram ourselves for free by doing things that we know work, that are mindful, that take us out of the 3-second reel. So it's, from our point of view, I think a lot of people would be welcome to do that. But from just an understanding of the MAGA point of view, they've been through heavy programming when you look back at all of the different posts this regime put out and all of the different speeches and whatnot. You know, they really do believe that things can be magically turned around in their favor on the first day. So you bring up a really interesting subject again. I just wanted to point that out, that there's been such heavy programming.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I agree. Like, again, you know, and on the seventh day, God created, right?
Yes, yes. On the seventh day, it's
yeah.
programmed in our psyche. Yeah, it is. Even from when, I'm not going to say anything else, but thank you so much. And you're doing great. And
thanks for that. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. You got it. Appreciate you too. Have a good day. Yeah, it's a great perspective, right? I mean, it's all the programming and all the conditioning. And then, you know, we white America in particular, have fallen into this trap. This goes back to entitlement. This is for everybody in white America. We act like we deserve these things to happen to us, and whether or not we're willing to do the work or not. And what we've heard from the amazing Black queens that have been up here this morning, they're like, it doesn't work that way. We've been trying to tell you, it just doesn't work like that. So my plea this morning is to understand that it's not going to happen overnight. It may not even happen in your lifetime. But isn't it worth investing now so that your kids could have a better future? Or so your grandchildren could have a better future? The things that we talk about are going to require systemic change. You're not going to put 13 Supreme Court justices on the court in one presidential term. It's not going to happen. You're not going to get money out of politics overnight. You're not going to get enough people in the political machine, the capitalists, to stop with their control over everything so that we can have universal health care. It's not going to happen overnight. We've got to be willing to invest. I want a brighter future for everybody. When we talk about terms the way progressives vote, I've never voted for myself, ever. Not once. I've never, again, I had a very good influence. My mother was an amazing influence on my mom we did activism before activism was cool. It was just part of what we did. I'm like, where are we going today? And I am so grateful for that. And I wish other people had that experience. That's privilege that I'm proud of, quite frankly, because I was privileged to be part of those things, right? And a lot of people didn't, right? So here we sit. Here we sit. Are we going to finally, white America, are we going to finally learn the lessons from the Black community, the indigenous community, marginalized communities across the board, but Black women in particular? Right. Are we going to finally learn that lesson? See, this is what we're talking about, right? This is what we're talking about. This is what we've been telling you for years. Is it starting to click maybe a little bit? Jesus, I hope so. I really, really hope so.
Hello.
Hi, Ava. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
So sorry for my voice. I am getting over a cold right now.
All
But
good.
I just wanted to state, a lot of my friends have already come up here, and I actually was given a live through Manny to come up here. He said if we had anything to say. But I feel like so many people have said so many amazing things so far in this conversation that I just kind of wanted to pose a question to more people who are, on the younger generation who want that instant gratification. And I've been seeing it from every background of individual. That honestly, I've just started to block those people who, are like, we cannot vote for X, Y, and Z reason because it's just a repeat, blah, 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 or we need a protest vote. So I kind of wanted just to pose a question to people that if voting is not important, if the system is rigged, I want people to critically think and ask themselves, if voting is not important, if it is rigged, why is it that the current administration, again, is having go through Congress right now, through the House and now to the Senate, the Save America Act? Why is it that if it is rigged, why would they do further things that would need to stop individuals from being able to get out to the polls? Why do they need further identification? Why are they trying to get people to have to bring their birth certificate, X, Y, and Z to prove that you are a U.S. citizen to go out and vote? If it's not important, why would they do things further? Because you already not going out to the poll is making their job easier by you sitting out and protesting because there is no perfect candidate. And honestly, if you 100% agree with someone, I know someone else already stated this, you are in a cult. Because if you agree with someone 100%, it doesn't even matter anyone in your life. You cannot critically think about there is a difference between you guys. There is something wrong there because we are all each individuals that have different mindsets. It doesn't matter. Even with Mandani, because for me, I am someone who is a democratic socialist. It just doesn't make any sense. If it is so rigged, they wouldn't be doing further measures to make it to where you cannot go out and vote. And especially in midterms. And I'm also tired of hearing conversations of people talking about who they're not going to vote for in 2028. Right now, it's 2026. And midterms historically have low voter turnout for everyone.
Yes.
And right now is the time for us to be building up. I don't want to hear y'all talking about who you don't want to vote for. Talk to me about who you guys do want to vote for. Talk to me about who you guys want to put in your school boards, your mayor of your city. It doesn't matter. talk about who you want to see, and go out and primary, get those people onto ballots and primary for them in 2028. Let's talk about who you do want to vote for, because it's tiring hearing the same messaging coming from 2024 and prior to that. Y'all talking about, I don't want to vote for this person because they support X, Y, and Z. I don't want to support this person because X, Y, and Z. Well, let's talk about who you do want to support. Because I also remember as well, too, back in 2024, the same people, and I'm talking people more so my younger generation, who, sat out for certain reasons that we all know that we don't need to point out. But there were individuals who were in Congress, in the Senate, who supported that issue wholeheartedly and didn't take money from certain individuals and didn't say certain things, instead and stood 10 toes down. And they got primaried out of office because the money countering them came in and got them. But people more so focused about what was X, Y, and Z doing for the presidential candidate? What was X, Y, and Z doing for the Senate, who I don't like? Instead of y'all focusing on who was there to actually support you and had a very similar mindset. So I need y'all to think critically about why it's important to not sit out. And if it is so rigged, why are they trying to stop you from further being able to go out and vote still?
Yeah, you don't attack things that aren't a threat. Or
Exactly.
Threat.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Ava, thank you so much for
Of
your
course,
wise words.
thank
I
you.
really appreciate you. And thanks for joining today. Have a great day. Be safe out there. I love that. Again, can we start to pay attention? Can we start to learn? No other community, let me be careful how I say this. I can't think of a community in our country that's been under threat more than Black women. And yet, every single day, they stand in the fucking breach. Every day. Every day. And Jess is right. We don't deserve Black women. We just don't. Are we ever going to learn? Are we ever going to take a page? Are we ever going to pay attention and be like, shit, every single time they come back around, literally voting for people that have said horrible things about their community, and they always show up and vote. Always. Every single time. Every time. Every time. And we get cranky because our community, our candidate's not the one that, what she said is extremely true. We're already bashing on, I say this a lot, give me a list of things that I'm not going to vote for. How about give me a list of things that you will? And then primary them. And then demand better. And when the time comes, take a page out of the handbook of Black women and say, harm reduction. Harm reduction. Fucking love it. Damn. Love it. These conversations give me so much hope. They just fuel me, man. They just fuel me. And I love it. Hang on a second. Damn. Hi, Lori. How are you today? Lori? Oh, Lori, are you there? Okay. Maybe not. I don't know what else to say. What more, and this is a message to people who I want to be careful how I say this. Well, actually, I don't. We started today by me getting angry because of some things that people said that were incredibly entitled. And where I've landed now is that I would rather go to war with people on the left because of the ideology that you have towards marginalized communities. But I'm going to drag you into the breach with me because you're going to look for a nice, safe path through the minefields. But yet you'll let Black women and marginalized communities step in the disaster, and then you'll be there to say that you were standing side by side? I don't think so. I don't think so. That's not how it works. It's not how it works. What I don't think white America understands is that the rights and privilege that many of you hold so dear, you have because of Black women. You'll probably never get that. You'll probably never understand that. Because again, they're the ones that are standing up. Just look at the votes. Just look at it. Just look at the votes. Look at what communities vote for. Black women stand up and defend the rights of white America. Period. White America doesn't even stand up to defend the rights of white America. Especially white men. White men don't vote for the freedoms that they claim that they care about so much. Black women vote. You're right, Kima. Black women vote for the good of everyone. Why is it that we cannot just take a page? It's a big ass fucking book. It's a big ass book. Maybe just take one page, the page that focuses on harm reduction, and learn the lesson. Learn how to move differently, how to peacefully protest in the face of certain death in many cases. We can look back at the Memphis bus protest. That took a year. We can talk about the Edmund Pettus Bridge. We can talk about the civil rights movement. We can talk about protests globally, but just right here alone, knowing full well what was going to happen to them when they protested, and they did it anyway. They knew they were going to get thrown in jail or beaten or worse, and they did it anyway. So the rights and freedoms that many of us have, people who look like me, is because of our queens. And we can't just bring ourselves around to vote for a candidate that may not be perfect. Is there anything epitomizes privilege more than that? I mean, really? Is there literally anything that shows white American entitlement more than that? I don't think so. And if this conversation is uncomfortable for you, then good. It should be. It really, really should be. Do I think I'll see massive changes in our system of government in my lifetime? I sure fucking hope so. I really hope so. But I'm about to send my daughter into the world. She'll be across the country. I'm grateful that she's figured it out. Well, I know where her head's at, and I know where her heart's at, right? Similar with my boys. I want my kids to be difference makers, but I also want them to understand the system that they're in has been tilted to their advantage, and they know it. And white America has to finally come to that understanding. They finally have to come to the understanding that we get to benefit. We benefit. Those of us who look like me, we benefit from the work, and in the worst possible circumstances, the death of marginalized communities. We get to benefit from that. We do. And when the time comes to just participate, we check out. Isn't that the least that we can do? Isn't that like the simplest little thing that we can do? Just to say, thank you. Thank you for going into the breach with me, knowing full well it was going to happen. And we can't get past looking for perfection. That's white privilege, friends. That is white privilege. Good morning. Good afternoon. How are you?
Hello, Steve. Lovely. Thank you for having me here. I saw the Left Unite you had behind you. And as you know, European here, I'm Danish. And I just have a question for you. So the current situation right now, and as someone outside looking in, what is the status of blue versus red in the United States right now? In the States, are we seeing a change that it becomes more left? Or what is the status?
So if you're talking about the Overton window, Sanjay, is that what you're talking about?
The window? What? Sorry.
Yeah, well, so they talk about there's this thing that they refer to as the Overton window, and it
Yes.
moves. It has to do with the general consensus of the body politic. So America's always been on the conservative side. So
Yes.
the American conservatives, the MAGA Republic, I forget. We always think our things are backwards. So the American left, the American right, conservatives are on the right in America. Liberals are on the left in America. For anybody who's followed Sinjay in here from Europe. So we've always been center right as a country for the most part, moderate, right?
Yes.
But the window's shifting further right. Most people want to pull that window back. This pendulum swinging has always been this. It's never really swung very far. I think the bulk of Americans want what's further to the left. For example, universal health care, looking at public education differently, changes to our tax code, changes to our Supreme Court structure, things like that. There has to be an appetite, though, for people to realize that to get there, we have to vote for more progressives to be able to make that change.
And because right now Donald Trump stopped doing the polling and like the looking at the polling of what you believe in now,
Gallup.
right? Yes, Gallup.
Correct.
Thank you.
Yes.
And
yes.
so, do we know if this is actually happening? I heard something about Texas. There was a Democrat elected in the red state that hasn't been elected before, or did I misunderstand something there?
No, you got it right. We've
Yeah?
seen these pop up. A district in Texas that Trump won by like 25 points that hasn't had a Democrat represent that area in a very long time happened in Miami, a mayor of Miami, Florida, a seat that hasn't been occupied by a Democrat in many, many years. What we're talking about today specifically is the fracturing within the Democratic Party because people on the left looking for perfection in their candidate. And if they don't get the perfect candidate, they're checking out and not voting, which is partly why we got Donald Trump in the first place.
Yes, and that's actually something I've discussed recently with someone. You had so many people not voting because of the Palestine-Israel conflict and the situation, how Kamala handled that. And as someone from the outside, if I can be frank, you know that I am, but
Please.
I was like, that's just fucking stupid. Like, do you know what the consequences are? Just standing there looking at like, oh no, I don't care about what like Donald Trump is going to be elected. I'm just going to ignore everything because I don't think that they are handling this situation correctly. Like, what the actual fuck? I'm sorry. I don't swear a lot, but
I know
seriously.
You don't, but you're right. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And that's kind of the point of this conversation today, that where we've landed is that the people on Americans in general, you and I have discussed this before in your lives about the entitlement of Americans. Like we expect it to change as quickly as it was broken. And the analogy that I used was Donald Trump grabbed a fine piece of china, threw it on the floor, and smashed into a million pieces. It took him a second to do that. And I think people on the left think that, oh yeah, we can just fix it overnight. We'll fix it tomorrow. No, it's going to take a long time. American conservatives have played the long game. It took them 50 years to take away women's rights to their body. They're invested.
They are, but what is the argument? Because someone who didn't vote, like, have you spoken to someone who didn't vote? Do they understand what they did and why, like, what actually, like, sorry, yeah. What did they say?
No, many have just packed up and left today. I think many people have just decided that they, you know what, I'm out of here. And that's what happens a lot. And I don't think there's a lot of regret, because I think they stand for something that they think is going to problem solve, and it just makes the situation worse. For example, people who I would likely agree with on most things ideologically may have been opposed to you talked about it, the I country situation, what happened between Israel and the H group. Because they did not like Kamala's policies towards Israel, they ignored everything else and didn't vote for her. Meanwhile, Trump is funneling more money to Bibi, and we know what's happening over there. So that's an example. And a lot of those people have just left the country. Well, I didn't break it. I'm out of here.
So those are the people, the privilege that I'm arguing with here in Denmark, where they're like, I make them responsible, because I do have conversations with Americans that have moved here, and they're like, oh no, I'm so sad that everyone just blaming me for what's going on in the US. And I'm like, well, you could have done
yeah,
something. Yeah, you just left like everyone who doesn't have the privilege to move
exactly,
with the shit
exactly,
that they have now. And they can't
exactly
see
right.
it.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Some of the poorest communities amongst us, so communities, marginalized communities, are here. They don't have the privilege to leave. They're here. They're in it. They're voting for. They're voting. I just said this. I mean, marginalized communities in the U.S. have given white people in the U.S. the freedoms that we have, and yet
Yes.
all we're asking for is white America to say, "Hey, thanks, I got you. I'll vote for harm reduction." And entitled Americans just have not figured that out yet.
But that is so freaking true. I am so annoyed. And I do hear a lot of people in my lives, Americans, coming up and be like, oh, yeah, I'm looking into moving. And I can see that there could be reasons if you have the opportunity to leave. There could be reasons if you're prosecuted and you're experiencing all these things. But I do wish that the majority of people who can doesn't just leave, because we need educated people to save the country that you guys are in. Like, we need that. We're going to support you guys as much as we can from here, but I can't go and vote. You know, Mama Europe can't fix this.
That's right. No, that's exactly the point. So that when you're having those conversations, you can just remind people that they're part of the problem. They may not see it that way, but they are. In fact, they're almost worse because ideologically we align, but they just bailed. They just said, I'm out of here. I'm done. That's privilege. That's typical American privilege.
It is. And then, like, the worst conversation I have is the one that goes against me whenever I hold them accountable to the fact that they've moved away. And they don't care about the country. They're like, nah, not my problem anymore. And that's the worst thing. Absolutely horrible conversations that I'm having there. Yeah. So, yeah, I just wanted to ask you, and like, I really hope that you guys can unite the left, and like, whatever you guys need from us, like, we can educate you on social democracy if you need that here in Scandinavia.
Yes. In fact, we should talk about that, because I wouldn't mind you coming up and maybe bringing some of your Danish friends or your Norwegian friends, and we can talk about social democracy, and maybe we can convince 1% of the people who watch you every day how great it could be. Again, nothing's perfect, right? Nothing's perfect. We know that. Every system has its flaws and its cracks, but prioritizing what should matter would be an example that we could learn from here. So thank you for being here today.
Yes.
I appreciate you as always. Thanks a lot.
Well, yes. Well, Steve, let me know if you need that and you want to take that talk at some point. But yeah,
I do.
Thank you
I'll message you.
Thank you so much. Well, take care and have a wonderful day. And you always have a very nice chat. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, Sinjay. I appreciate you. Have a good day. Be safe out there.
You
Thanks
too.
a lot.
Bye-bye.
All right, bye. Yeah, I've watched some of her lives, and I've been on some panels, and it's just people are like, oh, wait, what? You have to pay for what? You don't do this? It's mind-boggling because people, and I had this revelation when I was participating in a conversation with Sinjay the other day about how constitutions in democratic socialist countries are built to support the collective. They really are. I mean, it's built to support the society, whereas our Constitution is literally about the individual. And that might sound good, but this is what happens when you don't prioritize the things that really should matter, as opposed to just this theory of individuality. And look where that's gotten us. Hi, Ricky. Whoa. Ricky, are you there? Okay. Are you there, Ricky? Hello. You can unmute your mic now. Probably in the pocket. Okay. I think that's it. All right, probably a good place to stop. Just a last little push here. Let me thank a couple people real quick for helping us get over our $2,000 threshold as we're raising money for the Do Something Tour. Probably going to do our tour. We were talking a little bit last night on our team about maybe dividing it up and doing a couple of different things here and there. We're still working out the details. Trying to give myself a little bit more freedom to be able to go to events that may not be on our route. So we're working on it. Long story short, we do need your help from a fundraising perspective. I want to thank Michelle. Thank you, Michelle. You're very kind. You know how much I love you. Also, Joseph, thank you, Joseph, for your $20. Getting the goal above 2K. Yes, so we are officially above $2,000. I want to thank everybody. And I'm going to take a moment here, and I'm going to play the speech from Jesse Jackson, his famous, well, I'll let his words speak for themselves.
Stop? Yeah. Okay, here we go. I am somebody. I am somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody. I may be young, but I am somebody. I may be on welfare, but I am somebody. I may be small, but I am somebody. I may make a mistake, but I am somebody. My clothes are different. My face is different. My hair is different. But I am somebody. I am black, brown, white. I speak a different language, but I must be respected, protected, never rejected. I am God's child. I am somebody. Give yourself a big hand.
No notes. I believe Santana is live. If you guys wouldn't mind heading on over there to rate our friend Santana. If not, you all know what to do. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you guys very much. In the spirit of doing something, right? Please, there's always something to do. Always. Doesn't matter what it is. I don't care how big. I don't care how small. I don't care if you think it's mediocre. I don't care. There's always something to do. This is a fight for humanity. How do you want to be remembered?